Alright folks, we are going to get started in a second. I actually started earlier than I expected, because I delayed it half an hour, and when you delay things, you're technically early, right? Anyway, trying to go live, and then everything will be all set up. I always have to set up the live stream on my YouTube window to change the timestamps. I used to not have to do that, but now I have to. Like, I used to be able to change it mid-video in YouTube, or not in YouTube, in OBS, but yeah, now it's different. I used to be unable to look at the YouTube comments in OBS, but could edit the timestamps. Now it's the other way around. I can look at the comments, but I cannot edit the timestamps. Weird, but fun little tidbits. You know, because I'm so good at technical stuff. Anyway, that's enough shitting on myself. Alright, so glad to see y'all, and thanks for hugging me. You can hear me furiously typing on my keyboard for a second there, because I put in the timestamp for when we will start in half a minute. So, yep. As usual, I love to timestamp things, and I currently have like my function keys as my like PNG tuber reaction things. I need to know like if I can get like a MIDI device at like, I don't know, Guitar Center or whatever, or some sort of like music store to like, you know, do different buttons without messing with my actual keyboard. So yeah, that is something I'll have to look into. Just a bit busy at the moment, so then when I'm available. Anyway, let's go live. Alright folks, welcome back. Dirk the Red Panda here with that button. How do I act neutral? With Password. Yes, so we are back on Password. We've been on Password train the past 3 or 4 streams. I thought it would only take us like 3 streams in total maybe, and turned out that, well, it technically is 3 streams, but I thought they were gonna be a lot shorter, and this last one really went a bit longer than expected, and so I'm doing it this morning instead of yesterday, or well, technically this afternoon, because it's like almost 1 o'clock. I don't know, technicalities and all that, am I right? Anyway, yeah, I love this VN though, and that's why I got back into it. I had to make a bunch of cuts this past like November, December. Like, I was really getting stressed out with work and all that stuff, and I was like, okay, I need to hold back on some of that stuff, or a lot of it, and limit myself to just like 2 or 3 series. And the 2 I stuck with were the Smoke Room and Tennis Ace, which Tennis Ace I'm going to catch up on eventually. But yeah, Password had to get cut, unfortunately, which was really sad. I really enjoyed the series, but just, yeah, it was kind of like in and out, figuring out the updates, and just, I don't know, it kind of got a bit burnt out. I got a bit burnt out on like a couple of the series I was doing, but yeah, I then finally got back into Password because of memes and stuff, and I was like, I really want to play Password again. Like, that would be hype. Like, Password is fun series, and yeah, I just felt like I was kind of missing out on the more I was looking at it. But yeah, that's enough about how I got here. Password is now a recurring series again, which I think I put on my YouTube channel playlist as active again. Yeah, I think I might need to actually make like a little docket or whatever for the actual Password series, or I don't know, I do that with the Smoke Room and Tennis Ace for each individual character routes, but yeah, I'm gonna be probably trying to do that with Password as soon as I finish today's updates. And yeah, I honestly need to update a lot of my naming conventions too for my active series, because they are a bit inconsistent. I still have the old naming conventions for like 75 of my Tennis Ace episodes and most of my Password and Smoke Room episodes. But yes, where are we in the world of the Password? Alright, so in terms of Password, we finished Dean's and Tyson's days up to 19. So now we're on day 20 for both of them. And since I've heard from sources, and by that I mean just people messaging me on Twitter or like look at the itch.io page and all that stuff, that day 20 is kind of a common intersecting day for everybody. So like there might be a few different parts in some of the lines, but like for the most part, if I just play them separately, I'd just be repeating myself mostly. So yeah, we're gonna be doing day 20 all in one stream, and what I plan to do is go with Dean's first of all people. Because I did Dean first the other day, so I'm gonna do Dean first, and then after I do Dean's day 20, basically go and skim through Tyson's day 20, and basically skip through the parts that we repeated already and just read out the parts that are unique to the Tyson route. So apologies if I'm not reading Tyson's full bore day 20 as if it was completely his own, so don't want to get too recursive or whatever the word is. Redundant. Jeez. I'm thinking of like computer science terms, because we talked about computer science the other day with Thanatos. I got the name right. I was messing it up for a while. So yeah. Day 19 was the last route-specific day. Yeah, that's as far as I can remember. I'm curious if the rest are going to be like that, if it's going to just be one singular like thing, but just a few different little nuances. Okay, now we're just on the main plot. Okay, maybe we are then. Who knows? But day 20, we're going to kick it off with a bang. So, as I go to my magical timestamps and get out of studio mode because I have two tiny screens. Now it's one big screen. We are going to start in a second. The reading will begin, and all the chaos will commence. Alright, so... Oh, I should probably mention it. Dean's reading begins. Alright, let's get started then, shall we? Dean away! Huzzah! My head hurt. I couldn't tell how or why it was hurting, but it was hurting. My head hurt. All while I slept. I was cold, wet, with something fluffy wrapping over my shoulders. And louder music than expected slightly. I think that's a bit better. Let me know if that's still too loud. With something fluffy wrapped over my shoulders. High above the sun was warm, bright, in a cloudless sky. The sounds of splashing coming from nearby. What's going on? Dean's telltale chuckle from behind me, followed by his arms around my middle, explained the softness I was leaning against. Finally awake? Where are we? Hey everyone, he's awake. It's the beach episode. Oh no. Huh? Awake? And hello to everybody joining. Carnivon. Somebody mentioned I'm now a VTuber. Who was the person that mentioned it? The comments just flew by. Oh, there it is. Michaela? Evie? Thanks. Anyway. We're in the beach scene. Anyway, let's go. Yanna's worried. Oh, I knew letting you jump in like that was a bad idea. What's going on? I don't understand. I was confused as to where we were, why we were here, but what I did know that my head was hurting bad. That was all gone in an instant. I was floating again in the darkness, and eventually, something else surfaced. Oh, Jesus! You can't stack those. It's bullshit. Are you sure?
Dude, calm down. It's not even you drawing the cards. It's Dave.
It's... Huh? Ah! Dear God, not again! I could feel my headaches rising quickly. The confusion only getting worse. These were just dreams, right? But they felt different somehow. The feeling in my head no better either. Then, it was gone. Everything came back into focus, and I was right where I went to bed the night before. No headache, heart still racing, but things felt real again. My eyes adjusted to the mass of brown fur that I was using as a pillow, and I remembered where I was. Dean seemed to still be asleep as I cuddled against his chest, a thought that was reinforced immediately from how loudly he snored and seemingly woke himself up with. His arm flexed and face scrunched up into a grimace before his eyes slowly opened. Morning, Dean. He looked down to me, still in a daze before he realized what was happening. Oh. Good morning. Did you sleep well? I slept well, yeah. But not well. Did something happen? No. Just some strange dreams, that's all. He yawned wide and unrestrained, his arm around me rubbing my shoulder and back. Is strange bad? Just confusing. I'll figure out what they mean later. Sitting up, I rubbed my eyes and looked about Dean's room. The few plaid shirts littering the floor made me smile as he sat up to join me. Hand on my waist. Sure you don't want to talk about them? I guess it's more not knowing how to start talking about them. Like, have you ever had dreams that were so real you swore you were awake? Oh yeah, I've had of those. I've had of those, I can't read. Oh yeah, I've heard of those. Lucid dreams. So it was kind of like that, just about the vacation maybe. It felt so real. Dean leaned over and kissed me sweetly on the cheek, rolling over to check his phone. Anything bad? Not really. Just strange is all. Well, how are you feeling? Did you want to sleep in some more or get up? Could go either way, given the time. I doubt everyone's going to be up at this point. Placing a hand on his chest, I found my hand trailing his front, contemplating the options. Or if not sleep, we could stay in bed and do other things. I could feel his hands on me again, just touching, but everything was kept above the belt. I think I'm still tender from last night. It was great, but I might need to recover. That's what you get for being too eager. I did say we could just go slow. Yeah, well, I was excited. He hugged me close and I hugged him back as he rested his chin atop of my head. Once you're walking right, you let me know and we can go again. No rush. We've got all the time in the world. If I'm being honest, part of me was worried that I couldn't keep up. Our situation's not helping much either. Don't really have the freedom to fully experiment until we're back home. But all that stuff is just nice. It's not the be-all and end-all for our relationship. For a relationship, including ours. Okay, yeah. So, what's it going to be? Sleep or get up? I think I've had enough sleep. But what I really could go for is a cup of coffee and some breakfast. Well, come on then. We threw on some clothes and made out way down, Dean leading the way with a happy stride in his step. I followed close behind as we descended the stairs, feeling lighter and legitimately happier as we made our way into the dining room. It didn't take long for everyone to arrive, each of us taking a seat at the table with Orlando heading into the kitchen once everyone was accounted for. At some point, coffee was put in front of me, and I downed it quickly. Dear God, that is so good. Almost burning my throat, but it did wonders in waking me up. I looked across to who I spent the night with and flashed him a smile, and he flashed me one back. It was accompanied with a slow wink as he brought a piece of toast slathered with honey up to his mouth and chuckled as I almost missed my mouth with the next sip of coffee. Oh, Jesus, cracked on again. Oswin wandered in with Benson at some point, not saying anything to us and continuing on to the kitchen looking just as tired as I felt. Hey, everyone? The table went quiet when I spoke. I wasn't expecting it to happen so quickly, but I stood up, cradling my coffee cup in both hands. I'm gonna do it. Standing up performance. Dirk the Red Panda now being on the move. Yeah. I just wanted to say that there wasn't a good way to start this conversation, but I at least waited until there had been people eating. I'd eaten already, and having something in my stomach made me feel less anxious, but the weight of what I wanted to talk about was still there. No, never mind. I sat back down sheepishly, looking down into my coffee, but a few moments of looking back at my face in the black liquid, I frowned and stood back up again. No, I have something to say. Dude, just say it already. I'm getting to it. I breathed in deep and looked at each of my friends in turn, setting down my mug. I'm sorry I have to bring this up over breakfast, but 2 days ago, I got the vault to work again. There was nothing but silence to greet my declaration. My eyes went to the table, uncertain of how to proceed, but I figured not to say anything was worse than just trying. 2 days ago, I was told there was a password. So, I spent the day trying to solve it. Everyone seemed to look at one another confused, but still didn't say anything. I rubbed my head, unsure of how to explain this without sounding crazy. Werewolf. The password was werewolf. And what I saw was Orlando dead. And Tyson covered in blood. There was a thing in Tyson's room that was going to set him off, making a high-pitched sound or whatever. The tension at the table increased, and I looked around again to see if anyone wanted to speak aside from me. For the most part, it seemed as though some people weren't convinced I was serious, and others just didn't know what to say. So, the thing is, I didn't say anything because I wanted to try and fix it myself. But also because I didn't want the person behind it knowing. You know? Just in case they tried to mix it up on us. Dave, I think you could have phrased that better. A lot of it, really. I frowned, worried that my explanation wasn't clear enough, but it seemed clear that Roswell was willing to ask anyway. For the clarity at the table, are you implying that it was someone here that set it up? Well, no, but maybe? I mean, it's possible, right? Dave, just spit it out. We need the rest, yeah? Dave? Yeah? How do you know it's one of us? I snatched up my coffee again and downed it for confidence, and then openly declared what I knew to the table. So, someone's been controlling a robotic rat, and that rat was setting off a loud noise beneath Ty's bed. And that was making him go crazy, and he was going to break last night. But I found the rat and talked to him, and we all figured it out. The silence stretched out longer than I would have liked, and with how talkative people were before, I started talking. I started to chuckle with my nerves getting the best of me. The rat? Eyes were on Dean as he stood up, slowly, nodding at me. The rat? You mean the one we found in the kitchen? Thanatos. Ah, the god of death. No, the rat. You know, the one that Dave was with in the kitchen. Wait, is that its name? Who would name a rat after something like that? But it's not a rat, is it? Dave just said it was robotic. I nodded quickly. Yeah, he speaks from a little collar around his neck. He's, I wouldn't say nice, but, you know. No? I mean, he's kind of a jerk. That's putting it lightly. Everyone's attention went over to the door leading into the kitchen where Osman was standing, coffee in hand. Thanatos is a little gremlin, if I'm being honest. He made his way over to the table and stopped next to me before drinking from his mug and giving me a look. Ah, monster energy. Low-key, I think Osman would be the one drinking monster energy. Or, well, I should just call it monster, I don't know. He'd probably be drinking, like, Monster Red Bull, like, low-key. He's not too bad. But he's not exactly helpful. You're not going to tell him the important part? Oh, right. He's, also the vault? Confused looks were shared across the table again, with Oswin sighing. Would this be easier for me to go get him? It might be better to hear it from his mouth. I already feel like I'm crazy. Not a problem. The secret's now out anyway. Oi! I'm already here! Everyone had heard it. They were looking about the room for where the unfamiliar voice had come from, but I caught him scrambling up onto the table closet to the kitchen. He stood up plainly in the middle of the table for everyone to see. Orlando seemed uncomfortable seeing the rat again. Everyone else was a mix between confused and intrigued. Hey, Thanatos. Heard you were talking about me. Yeah. I was, He shook his head and looked around at everyone at the table. I was, Well, go on. I'm sure you all have questions now that Junior here opened his mouth. So, the other day? I'm so angry at this. I'm actually surprised. So, the other day? In the kitchen? Yeah, real classy putting me under that middle thing. Didn't even have the decency to ask. And then at the table before breakfast, you could have said something. Yeah, just getting a read on you, wasn't I? Didn't even get a chance to get a word out before you start touching me all over. Orlando shot Dean a sour look, but then turned back to Thanatos, drumming his fingers on the table. We're not all hallucinating, right? You're actually talking. And you're just a robot? Just a robot is underselling it. He's the vault, the AI behind it, or something. I don't know why he's a rat, though. 'Cause he's a gremlin. The vault's a gremlin. I'll have you know I'm a rat because I need to be one. I looked over to Oswin, but he just raised his eyebrows mid-gulp of his coffee, seeming a mix between amused and intrigued by his answer. Well, I'm sorry I was so rough the other day. Not every day you meet a rat that behaves like you do. Nah, you're alright. Heard you were going good with your Heard you were good with your hands on like a certain someone and wanted to check. Why is it you're looking at me when you say that? Hardly got that thing working, Benny boy. Want you to fix, eh? Why not give it to me? I can get a car working. Can't be too hard. You can do robotics. Fine electronic stuff. No. Then that's why, ain't it? File on Dean said he had history, so that's why I went at him. Excuse me, Mr. Rat. Eh? What? Sorry. Do you rather just Thanatos? Or what about something more befitting with a divine name? Or what about something more befitting a divine name? Listen, you stop that. Thanatos is fine. Alright. Thanatos, I had a question. What did you mean by a
file.
Oi, easy enough to answer. Got a file on each of yous. Just had to go look at 'em.
Files? What sort of files?
A combination of my own notes and publicly available records. The table briefly looked to Oswin for confirmation, but he seemed more interested in filling up his mug with more coffee.
How detailed are they?
The question seemed to give Thanatos pause, regarding Roswell carefully before giving his answer. Very. Chances are I know things about you that are keeping secret from one another. Like what?
Hold on. I think it's not worth delving into that. We have no way to verify that he's telling the truth anyway.
How so?
I think that a better line of questioning would be, what does it mean that he's the Vault? That might inadvertently answer the question of if he can be trusted.
He's very hit or miss as far as trusting him, I think. Or he makes it hard to trust him anyway.
Real nice, Junior.
But as for being the Vault, what's not to get? I'm the back-end system of it. Then who's the front-end coder? Me laughs in back-end coding. Those are the days. I did both of my last job.
Sorry, I still don't quite understand.
My voice is cracking. Jesus.
Sorry, I still don't quite understand.
Well, if he's the system to the Vault, then it begs the question as to what the Vault does and what can do, right? As far as we know, it does the whole vision thing, right? Remember, we had this explained to us some days ago when we learned about who's in the woods. Morphic resonance and trauma go hand in hand to trigger past memories. Real past memories.
Oswin grunted and I caught him side-eyeing Roswell, but kept quiet beyond that. So, Thanatos can make us remember stuff? Sort of?
If he's telling the truth, yes. Everything Dave has seen so far would just be a past memory for him.
Can I just say how fucked up that is? How do you expect us to believe that anyway?
How else would you explain it, Ty? Those things never happened, but they were so clear, so real that I just don't know what else they could be.
Fucking dragged up hallucination bullshit, maybe?
Nah, mate. Don't need to do drugs to do what I do. If you want that, go to a Dastra. Just a good high-pitched noise will do just fine.
Noise?
Ty started to growl, jumping up and hunching over the table. He stumbled over his words, tried to figure out how to phrase what he wanted to, but I could tell from his eyes bulging that he'd put it together. Yeah. Thanatos was under Ty's bed. Ty made a grab for Thanatos, but came up short the moment the rat took a step backwards.
I have a question.
For who?
Open question, I suppose. Do we know who's puppeteering him right now?
Isn't he a robot?
Well, yes, that's what he said. We haven't seen Benson in a while.
No strings on me.
That's for sure.
He does what he wants, Roswell.
You're sure? He doesn't take orders from anyone?
Before anyone could get their words out, Oswin was now standing. In theory, that person should be me. Alas, that's not the case.
What are you talking about, Master?
Gasp! Is this the plot twist? I don't know. This could be the plot twist.
Oh, shit!
I could see the smile on his face and the way he stressed that last word that made me wonder specifically what he was playing at.
But then who? Y'all don't need to know that.
Well, where does that leave us then?
Dean, you really don't get it.
It's hard to process, but the implication to me at least is clear. Don't leave me in the dark! The implication is that it's one of us, isn't it?
A lump in the back of my throat kept me quiet, but I could see looks being shot around the table. The prospect seemed to cause everyone to second-guess the truth of what Sal had suggested, and the silence was making it worse.
Well, it's not me.
If you didn't sound so genuine, I'd be second guessing that based on how he showed up to talk to you when no one else was around.
It's a little suspicious, but I don't think Dean's smart enough to play a long game such as this without anyone knowing. It'd also have meant that he'd have brought Thanatos with him on the bus. See? Can't be me!
Well, it's not me either. If I can't put a broken ECM back together, then I could hardly put together a robot, let alone a full AI to run it.
Yeah, it's not me either. Honestly, thinking about it logically, can't be any of us, can it?
I'm relieved, but why?
I'd have to guess that it's because he's the Vault, right? It's not just making a robot, or an AI, but then to make the Vault itself really only means that you'd need a level of knowledge on this sort of stuff along with the ability to construct it, right?
Everyone turns to Roswell. Sounds kind of sus to me.
Rules me out. I don't have the cash and barely know how all this works. Dave can back me up on that.
I only understand this from video games. Honest.
And your folks are in the mob. You've got the money.
I appreciate that you can put that together, but I'd rather spend my money elsewhere, thanks.
He's got a point. I imagine if Orlando really had that much money, he'd do something to stop demons and ghosts from threatening to torment him. Much help that will do him.
What about you, Roswell?
Me? I don't mind the ghosts and demons.
He means the master of this rat bullshit, dumbass. Well, opposite dumbass, smartass.
Oh, no. Can't be me. Can it?
Roswell, I'm going to actually kick your shins. Why not?
I'll admit I have the smarts potentially, but resources? No.
Isn't your dad a lawyer, though? They make some money.
By that logic, we could be pointing at you as a suspect given your mother.
So, what I'm getting at is that all of us are in the clear. No one could have done it. There was an air of hopelessness, there's an air of hopefulness in his voice, and he stood up, leaving one less person in their chair. That's good, right? The rat's lying, and then... Orlando's smile faded the moment the snickering happened. Thanatos was shaking with laughter as he remained in his spot on the table.
Well done. Very well done.
He rubbed his hands together quickly before looking at each of us, all the while snickering to himself.
You've convinced yourselves that none of us... You've convinced yourselves that none of yous is a traitor.
No one has the means or the opportunity, right?
You should know better than anyone, David Holloway Jr.
Oh dear God, we are the villain the whole time. Got a sip on that tea. I finally sat back down, worried about what he was going to say next. It was a primal instinct to react in some amount of fear when your full name was called.
What am I?
The vault.
How long have I been alive for?
I don't know.
This time around? At least 10 years, I think.
This time around? Oh.
So I'll ask you again. How long have I been alive?
How many iterations of the universe have we gone through?
Now that is something I haven't been keeping track of. Too many.
Then, is your master alive?
Very good, Dave. Asking the right questions. The answer to that is... complicated. Seems pretty easy to answer. Both being given alive or dead is just one or the other. You can't be both.
Unless you're Schrodinger's cat.
I guess unless you're a zombie.
Zombies aren't real, are they?
Depends. What timeline are we in?
On what?
I guess if you get resuscitated after you're dead, that make you a zombie of sorts, right?
That's... oh, God, that's not how it works, though. I don't think you can give CPR to someone whose brain has stopped. At least I think that's what I remember Mom saying. Thank God.
You're welcome.
Not you. Not once. Not now. Not ever.
Killjoy. So, to summarize, we're left with an unknown master controlling Thanatos, who was instructed to torment Tyson, right?
Okay, that about sums it up.
Which leaves us with a list of suspects spanning those in this mansion. And from what I got from Thanatos' implication, spanning multiple iterations of the universe.
Right.
So I have a question for the god of death in the room.
Yes.
When was the last time you communicated with your master?
He seems to regard that question carefully. either weighing something up or trying to figure out if he was able to answer.
To die.
Jesus Christ, you're not helping.
Wait, what?
Any other questions? When today? Did they ask you anything? Again, he seemed to consider the question before answering.
Recent. And yes. Okay, this is getting us nowhere. How do we know we can trust the little shit? We don't really have much choice, do we? A talking rat robot is already a lot for first thing in the morning, but here we are. Well, I don't like it. Tough luck. Can't we just ignore him already?
Tough luck. But, Ty, without him, I wouldn't have known to save you.
He's the one that drove me nuts. Under my bed, Dave, remember? He's got a point. I don't need your backup. I'm wondering about the timing, actually.
What timing?
Why is he appearing now? Why is this only being told to us now? What's going to happen next?
Easy enough. Fuck. I can't even talk to you because you confused me with that question. But I guess that's easy enough to answer. Junior here caught me in the act. Gross. Not to say that I didn't try helping him along a few days ago. Even grosser.
A few days ago?
When you started having your little headaches.
And when Junior here almost crushed me when I made him pass out in front of you in Orlando.
Tyson made another dive for Thanatos, and his fingers scraped against fur, but he wasn't close enough still.
You fucker!
He razzed Tyson and took refuge behind Sal's arm as it came down on the table to block Tyson from making another attempt.
Hey, Thanatos? How much trouble are we in, really?
Interesting question. Why? Are you evil?
Not quite what I'm getting at, but I just don't get why. Sal said it best that the timing just seems strange. How long have you been in contact with the rat, Dave?
Oh. Okay, that's a good question.
How long have you been at the mansion so far? It's been 3 weeks. Give or take a day or so.
Then here about 10 days ago we made first contact face to face.
Then a few days ago is when we went on a little adventure and had a chat. I didn't know if this was something I'd need to ask, but, were you around when Dave went into the woods by himself?
Yeah, why?
Okay, why didn't you stop him? Show him a thing or whatever to make him not go.
Say, thing is, I can't make him go anywhere or show him anything unless he's in that room downstairs. He never went down leading up to it, so there wasn't an opportunity.
But you could have just told him to not go in there. You've even met before at that point. Well, maybe. I didn't feel like it.
Starting to see what you meant when you asked if he was evil, Dean.
Did you really not feel like it?
Wasn't my call in the end.
What do you even mean?
Everything that happened turned out for the best, didn't it? You opened up about your man. Started talking about you. Everyone started taking you seriously. And look at you now. Would you go back and change it if you could?
Immediately, the whole table seemed to shift into looking upon Thanatos, and unhappily at that. I don't think so. I don't like that I had to get chased in the woods, and I don't like how being outside stresses me out a little. But if that didn't happen, we wouldn't know who's out there. I probably still would be bottling up what happened to Dad, too.
That's what you said last time, too.
Of course. I wonder if he's a type of, like, machine where it's like he only knows, like, the past reference to something. Kind of like a program that I worked with. I could only access the last thing of something instead of, like, just the next. And so when I had to sort things, I could only sort by, like, the past. It was weird. Anyway. Gotta beat him up. Oh.
Now, why remember? Let me hijack this conversation before we spend the next hour accusing me of things. Roswell had an announcement.
I did?
I quirked a brow at Thanatos, confused as to what Roswell had to say, and looked over to him. He seemed conflicted, but understood what Thanatos was talking about, nodding slowly.
Right. I guess that's just better brought up now, huh?
He took a deep breath and started to fiddle with his fingers, all while Thanatos seemed to make himself comfortable, notably away from Tyson.
So, I have a confession. A secret that I've been hiding from you all. There's no good way of saying it, so I guess I just will. I'm dying.
Dying? Huh? My confusion seemed to be the same as everyone else's, but Roswell continued.
A long time ago, I was diagnosed with something untreatable. For the most part, it was benign. Didn't really hinder me at all, is what I'm saying. But I was told that it was terminal.
He was young, too. Real young.
Right. Like 4? Maybe 5?
I can verify this. I was consulted on if there was anything that could be done after the hospital issued their diagnosis. Regrettably, Roswell has the right of that. Regrettably, Roswell has the right of it that it is untreatable. Everyone seemed to stay quiet as Osman spoke, his tone level and calm. It is not easy to tell a child that they are going to die, but from speaking with Roswell's mother, they sought out every avenue they could think of.
Mom and Dad were very accommodating with answering what questions I had. I barely remember what I asked, given it was so long ago, so chances are I asked the same thing multiple times over.
That was the advice of the consulting pediatrician. Granted, I'd second that advice.
I think it was the right call. I appreciate knowing what's happening to me. Why I got sick at sometimes and whatever.
Now for the big news. How long do you have left?
Truthfully, I'm on borrowed time. I could make out the month, maybe. Maybe another one or even a year before it happens.
Thanatos shook his head.
Wrong. What do you mean wrong? Remember who's seen the different outcomes of this month? Wait, it's less than a month? It's variable. I seen it happen. Once. No, twice. But both on different days. You've seen me die of natural causes? That would mean I don't make it home. Depending on how the next few days play out, you might need home before it happens. Depending on the next few days play out, you might get home before it happens. You might not. But that's not long. 10 days or so until the end of our vacation. 10 days until.
Until Roswell dies.
Yeah, don't go being dramatic. I said it could be sooner than that. Not helping?
And how is that better?
Because nothing has been decided yet. I thought you'd like the variants. The reason I'm bringing this up now is because of where we find ourselves. Getting off the mountain, we're potentially needing to make some hard decisions. I'm getting in early so we're all on the same page.
What hard decisions specifically? Roswell breathed in deep before exhaling through his nose, looking to me briefly, then to Thanatos, then to Sal rather than talking to the group as a whole.
In the absolute worst case scenario, if someone needs to die or be left behind, let it be me.
Everyone looked uncomfortable and didn't want to look at Roswell after he'd spoken. Except for me. And after catching my eye, it was clear he noticed no one else was looking at him anymore.
Logically, it makes the most sense. If someone needs to be left behind so the others can survive or escape or whatever, it makes sense that that person should be me. So please, hopefully nothing happens. But if it does...
He trailed off, looking at the others as if pleading for them to acknowledge what he'd asked. I promise. The words were barely out of my mouth when Orlando stood up suddenly and stormed out of the room, followed quickly by Haas. They looked distraught and Orlando was most definitely crying. Tyson shot me a look before getting up out of his chair and going after Haas. Roswell shifted in place before settling in his chair with a sigh.
There. It's done. Good. I might need time before I'm able to promise you anything, Roswell. This is going to take a bit to think through.
Sal left next, and he half dragged Dean out of his chair given he was still wide-eyed and dazed from the news. I hope you're happy with yourself.
I push the conversation the way that best benefits me, yes. Didn't really want to get chased around the room by Tyson again.
Roswell, are you alright?
No. Not really. But that had to be done, right?
That's right.
At least we know now, but where does that get us? What happens now? I believe I'm going to take Roswell somewhere so he's not alone. Perhaps a slow game of chess. I'm pretty sure I have some candy somewhere. But I'm able to hang out with him. Oswin shook his head. You have plans already from what I've been told. Besides, I think this calls for a doctor's touch.
Boy, that is hell awkward.
But you're not a doctor, remember?
Boy, you are absolutely still young enough for me to hurl you through a window. Mind your manners.
Dantos, do I die from being hurled out the window?
Hey, let's go. We need to have the Garfield meme, but with Roswell. I am surprised I have not seen that yet.
No. Good to know.
I'll leave Thanatos in your case. I'll leave Thanatos in your care for the time being, Dave. He pulled Roswell out of his chair and nudged him towards the door to the foyer. We'll have a chat later. Then it was just Thanatos and me staring at one another.
So,
what?
ready for the next job?
If I'm being honest, not really. I feel like could have gone better.
It's gone worse in the past. That's been one of the more tamer discussions on record. If anything, you're being thrown out the window.
How much worse could it have gone?
Tyson injures my body to the point of not being functional that causes some problems.
Ah. I'm sorry.
Don't be. I'm just directed the conversation in a way I want to so it didn't happen. Got you real close though.
He wandered over to me, kicking my hand as I was slumped over my spot at the table.
Come on. We need to go talk to Benson.
Oh, right. Guess there's no break, huh? Yes, when I'm streaming, there's no break.
What do you need a break for? Get going.
This was the last place I'd seen Benson enter, and sure enough, there he was. Done already? You were waiting for us to finish? At the behest of Oswin, he believed things might get a bit complicated and figured he'd spare me the need to play the mediator. Oh. It wasn't so bad, really. Thanatos crawled from my shoulder, down my arm closet. Thanatos crawled from my shoulder, down my arm closest to the counter, and started to look around the kitchen, seemingly letting me have free reign. It begs the question where Oswin is now, though. You weren't listening in? Now that wouldn't be very polite, would it? Well, Roswell explained his life circumstances. It's all right, Dave. I'm aware of how little time Roswell has with us. Oh. Okay. Now, I believe you had something you wished to ask of me. How'd you know? He glanced across at Thanatos before returning his eyes to me. Oswin, along with other contributing factors, raised it as a potential outcome for today. I'm sorry? We can avoid it if you want. No, it is quite alright. Although I do wonder how much you'll get from it. The three of us headed back into the dining room, and I dropped Thanatos back onto the table as I looked around, wondering how best to start. To clarify, you want to see what we can find out from what you saw in the vault regarding my death, yes? Oh yeah, we were going to do that today. Right. Well then, let's see what you remember. This is how I died. It's been a while, but I found my eyes trailing to the floor, right where I remembered Benson laying dead. It happened here, right where you're standing, although, well, obviously you were on the ground. Dead. May I have the cause of death? Gunshot wound. Where? In the dining room?
In the head, Benny boy.
Oh, right. Yeah. On your, right temple? Benson looked around the room, slowly scanning the room with a frown. Would it help if I gave more details? Please. So, there's a gun in your left hand. You were kind of just sprawled out on the ground on your side. There's not really more I can go over because I really only have fragments to go with. Describe the gun to me. Big? Silver? Like a cowboy gun? Yeah, like that. A revolver. Interesting. Interesting. Why is that interesting? Well, that would be Oswin's gun. I was slated to clean it that night as I'd been putting it off. But with everyone searching the place for a gun, I figured I wouldn't casually do it in the dining room table once everyone had turned in. Why would you need to clean it? Proper gun maintenance is important lest you run the risk of injury when you actually need it. Huh. I guess that's understandable. Understandable as an American! It'd be why you wash your brushes after you finish painting.
Painting? Really?
Well, I don't kill people or use guns. I don't know these things. It does raise an interesting possibility, however. In what way? Quite simply why I was holding Oswin's gun. And in my left hand, no less. You were cleaning it, right? I was. But why would I not just use my own? Presumably because you didn't have it. A fair assumption, but there are other problems. Notably, if I were to be shot in the head with Oswin's revolver, chances are there'd be a significant part of my head, well, missing. A detail you omitted from your recount. Oh, well, your head was still there. Thanatos, how much of this event do you know?
Why do you want to know?
Because I died, dumbass. Fine. Remain unhelpful. Thanatos, you wanted me to look into this?
Fine. It's as Benson is getting at. He wasn't shot with the gun you found him with.
I was going to say that before, but I was like trying to figure out how to explain it. Like, he had the gun in his hand, but he had like some sort of wound in his head, but it didn't look like he had just directly like shot himself in the head or whatever. Otherwise, it'd be a lot more brutal. Think JFK assassination in the sense that they had to have it as a closed casket funeral because it would being shot in the head's like, you know, could be very gruesome. Not just what we saw in the CG. Anyway. Which leaves us one other gun that I keep loaded. Mine. There aren't any other guns in the house. Are there? There are, but kept under lock and key, unloaded, and in my private quarters beyond another door. Oh, wait. There are, but kept under lock and key, unloaded, and in my private quarters behind another locked door. That's a lot of locks. That's called proper weapon storage. Something you Americans don't know about. Boom roasted. Where are the keys? You have them, right? They are safe, yes. Actually, funny thing, I went to, like, Costco. We have, like, you know, Costco's in America. Like, I went there the other day, and they had this, like, giant-ass gun safe. I'm like, what the hell is this thing? And it said that it was, like, a gun safe. I'm like, this thing is massive. It looked like solid block metal. Like, you probably need, like, a forklift and something to carry it. Like, it was gigantic. Seriously, didn't realize, like, guns could have those things. Like, Jesus. Like, that's a proper way of storing guns if I ever had one, but God, I would suck at doing the guns. Pew pew, Jesus. I don't know how to do guns. Don't know how to use it. Or I kinda did. I've only shot a gun like once ever at like a range, and that's it. That was like ages ago. They are safe, yes. Okay. Good. So my immediate thought was that either someone brought their own weapon or used mine. But why would you hand over your own gun? Good question. We can rule out any outside interference. How can you be sure? No one entered the house that night. Only people in the house are those that you're aware of already. A chill ran down my spine and I looked to Benson. We can't verify that unless you put blind faith into him. All I can tell you is that... Oh, did I say that? No. It wasn't Benson. It was Benson who said that. We can't verify that unless we put blind faith into him. All I can tell you is that, over my lifetime, those that you might think would show up don't. Not until well after we're past that point. But that wouldn't mean the person that did it was either... Well... Pay him no mind, Dave. He seemed thoughtful as he pieced together what he wanted to say next. A frown forming. Oswin's revolver in my left hand is problematic as I'm right-handed. I don't know. I mean, I'm left-handed, but I'm trying to think. I'm like, the one time I did was like, I don't know, I was like just a kid or whatever, and like family friends I went with were like, yeah, we're gonna go to a gun range just to see, just so you know how shooting a gun is like or whatever. And I think I did it with my left hand. I don't know, like for me, I throw my frisbees with my right hand. I can try to throw my left. I can kind of do both. But yeah, it's like most things I do left-handed. It's like sometimes you wonder if it's like different. I don't know. You wouldn't have just swapped hands? And why would I do that? For fun? Death for fun. I treat my gunplay quite seriously. I might be past my prime, but I still have my muscle memory should the situation arise. Granted, my headspace needs to be right for it. So, why was it in your left hand? Planted, most likely, by the assailant. I don't think I follow. You're saying someone showed up, took your gun while you were cleaning Oswin's, shot you, then planted Oswin's gun in your hand for... what reason? Potentially to make it look like a suicide. Although clumsy at best, it seems. Thanatos, anything to add?
What are you asking me for?
You probably know the scene better than I remember. Plus, you likely know who did it, too.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Then, who? I looked across to Benson, but he seemed to be staring into space, stiff as a board. Something had dawned on him, and the corners of his mouth were pulled back, tense. Benson? It's nothing.
That's a lie.
Quiet, you. What's... Huh. We were making good progress, I thought. The next words out of Benson's mouth were almost a croak, but he recovered soon after. Unfortunately, not fast enough for me to not notice. I think it was Jack, in my opinion. That's the only possibility I have. Very good progress. What did I miss?
Benson's figured it out.
Wait, really? Well, that's great. No, it's really not. Because... Forgive me, but I cannot disclose who committed the deed. From what we know, I can only think of one person, but interrogating them would get us nowhere. Why?
'Cause it never happened. What are they going to confess to?
Ah, but that... This will be something I need to discuss with them at a later date. I looked between Thanatos and Benson quickly, the three of us quiet. Can I be honest? Of course. I'm really tired of this whole everyone having big realizations without telling me anything. You do it, Oswin does it. Thanatos has done it too.
Have not.
You have! You might not register it, but it's annoying that some people seem to be in on some sort of secret that I'm legitimately trying to figure things out and help, but people just don't want to share. Then, what would you have me do? Tell me who it is! Then at least there would be a lead or something to figure out what's going on. If we can't trust Thanatos, but we can sometimes, but then we can put faith in what you say, where does that leave us? It leaves us in a very difficult position, Dave. Then, how do we fix it? Perhaps it's better if I frame it this way. Do you know to whom I am most loyal? Oswin, obviously, right? Yes, but also no. More specifically, I give my loyalty to the Hammond family in order of seniority. I see. Okay. Of the current members of the family, Oswin is the one that sits as the family's head, as it were. But should another family member be present, well, that may change. I forget, is the sister or the brother alive? Because I know he has an older brother and sister, and I thought one of them was dead.
Florencia ain't here anymore, in other words.
Sure, okay. But how does that affect what we're talking about now?
Because should
that's Benson. Because should Oswin want something kept quiet and requests that of me, to a fault I will obey. But why? What if they were to go after Oswin next? What if they come for someone else? You holding on to who you think it is just puts all of us at risk, doesn't it? I respect that you're upset about my decision, but I assure you that I'm not budging. But the others? Benson put up a hand, shaking his head. To unknown assailants, I'll be of little help anyway. In this instance, the best I can do is to bring it up with Oswin, and you are more than welcome to do the same. I groaned, rubbing my face. Okay, fine, I get it. Leaning on the table, I looked down at the floor where Benson was dead in my vision. So Oswin knows who it is. I would assume he has a fairly good idea, yes? But certainly in these times, it isn't assured. Okay.
Oi!
What?
Hi, don't need to get an attitude with me. I have good news.
Okay, what's the good news?
You've got a few days of breathing room at least.
Whew. Before another vault vision? Thanatos looked Thanatos looked towards Benson, then back to me.
Potentially. But worry about it later. You need a break.
No, just tell me now. May as well.
No. Take a break. I'll be seeing you later. Oswin might want to chat later, so I'll be in the lab to listen in.
In your cage?
What did it take me for?
He scurried off after that towards the foyer, then out of sight. I'm sorry, Dave. Huh? I'm not as spry as I once was. Were things different? Well... I nodded slowly. Has keeping watch been tolling on you? Truthfully, yes. I wish to return to a regular sleeping schedule soon. But that would mean, assuming we wish for surveillance around the clock, others will need to stay up. Among other things. Once more I nodded and kicked the floor lightly. I'll try and bring it up with the others. See what we can do about it starting tonight. Thank you. What are you intending on doing now? After the chat at breakfast, I might go see how everyone else is holding up. Very well. I wish you the best of luck. Leaving the dining room, I rubbed my head, wondering where the others had ended up after everything that went down. If I was honest with myself, I felt a bit lost and wouldn't mind taking things out with someone else. Or talking things out. I'm just gonna take them out. Anyway. Looking around, I wondered where Thanatos had run off to and assumed it would have been downstairs. The others, however, could be anywhere. I wandered around the house for a bit, sticking to the floor I was on before deciding to head upstairs and see if anything interesting was happening up there. I approached the rec room and stuck my head in, seeing Ty and Haas sitting on beanbags quietly chatting. Haas had his face in his hands and Tyson seemed unsure of what to be really doing. You guys okay? Ty looked up and gestured me to come over before turning to Haas.
We're good, yeah.
You sure?
Just working through that news, yeah. Well, Haas is anyway.
Oh, about...
Yeah. About
that. Nodding slowly, I took a spot on the floor and rested my hands in my pockets, not really sure of what to say or do.
How are you holding up about it?
Me, fine, I guess? Well, I guess it's less fine and more just in shock. Really not knowing if it's real still.
That's where I'm at. I get that. It's a thing. But his delivery needs some work.
How else was he meant to tell us that?
I don't know. But what are we meant to do with that information?
But then he turned to me with a frown, looking me over.
And you actually promised what he asked.
I had to.
Don't think you need to do shit, but if that's all he's asking, then hell, I'll make that promise too.
Dude, you understand what he's asking of us, right? It doesn't matter if it makes the most sense, if it's messed up. Imagine if it was Dave asking that of you.
Ty's ears immediately drooped and he slumped, keeping to himself.
So, like, he's right. Worst case scenario, it saves us the decision-making process, but I sure as hell don't feel good about it.
What would the alternative be?
Don't think there is one, though, is there? If shit hits the fan, then we just deal with it. Or I guess we know what we're doing already.
Yeah, I guess so. I shuffled closer to Ty and leaned against him, and he leaned against me back. Do you think he's suffering?
Hard to say. I imagine it wasn't easy to come out and tell us that he's dying, given as he's kept it from us this long.
Feels a little strange to bring up now, doesn't it?
If not now, when?
I imagine if his condition worsens suddenly, that might cause us more alarm than if we knew what to expect, right?
Or if he just didn't wake up one morning.
Dude, too real.
It's true, though. One day he might just go to bed and that's it.
That sounds really sad. That we wouldn't know that when we're saying goodnight it'll be the last thing, right?
I guess that's just how that goes, right? Anything you say to someone could be the last thing you just say to them, ever.
Ty pulled back, looking me over with a stern look, focusing on me and looking me over so I could keep eye contact. What's wrong?
Just looking.
Dude, say it.
Shut up.
Say what?
Just in case, yeah? I love you. You know that, right?
Aw, you big softy. Are you going to tell me that you love me next, too?
No.
Ouch! What if I say please?
Still no.
Thanks, Ty. I love you too.
See? There you go. Happy family.
Ty rolled his eyes and patted me on the head in the same motion, sitting back in his beanbag. So, you're feeling better at least now, Haas?
It's going to take some getting used to. It's soured the trip a little more knowing what's around the corner for a friend is all.
Yeah.
So what? We're meant to worry about it until it happens, or what?
Maybe not worry about it, but like, I guess just keep it in mind. And then, when it happens, we be sad.
That's overly
simplistic?
Like, there's an alternative.
It's untreatable, right? So that's that. That's it. We can't do anything about it.
Awfully defeatist of you, Dave. But you've got a point. All we can do is just make sure he's comfortable.
At the same time, we have to deal with the guys in the woods. Are they even still out there?
Not worth the risk, is it?
I guess.
I guess not. If the road is fucked, then they aren't getting off the mountain either.
Unless there's another way out.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Nodding slowly, I leaned back and Tyson got up to head over to the TV. What are you doing?
Want to watch anime?
Yeah, sure. You staying around for some anime, Dave?
I think I'll see where the others went. Orlando seemed pretty shaken up about it as a whole, and if he's not here, then... well...
Right. Don't know where he went. Just ran out before I did, but he headed upstairs when he left, if that helps.
So, he's in the mansion at least. Thanks. I'll... see you guys later?
If you need us, we'll be here.
With a nod, I set off, leaving them to their anime. It seemed, at least for the time being, that they were holding things together. But that just made me wonder how Orlando was doing without someone to talk him through things. When I found him, he was sitting by the window, or half lounging by the window, looking out into the world beyond. Hey, Orlando. You doing okay? His eyes were still wet, but he wasn't actively sobbing anymore. He turned to look at me before looking out the window again, gesturing for me to come closer and hear my phone go off. I apologize for that. I need to turn my iPad off. Stupid. Oh, I didn't know I could do that with my phone. Well, next time I'm going to mute this volume. God dang it. I don't know why that went off. Sorry for that in the middle of an emotional scene. Guess my ringer was on full volume, apparently. Anyway, his eyes were still wet, but he wasn't actively sobbing anymore. He turned to look at me before looking out the window again, gesturing for me to come closer and give him a hug. Not really. I didn't think things could get any worse, but then Roswell gave us the news, huh? Yeah. He wrapped his arms around me and I joined him in looking out the window. It's so sad. He's been hiding it for so long and just... I don't want to believe it's real. But it is though, right? He couldn't go joking about something like this. Not now, especially. Is it bad that I think I would have rather not known at all? But what if something happened? Yeah, that's true. But you're wondering what happens now? A little. It's not like we're doctors either. Well, Oswin kind of is. Was. But he just said the same thing Roswell told us. Yeah. He breathed out, and I could see the small wisps of smoke trailing out of his nose. This is really upsetting you, huh? Like, I don't think I've ever seen you troubled like this before. It's just something new, alright? Something that I just don't know how I'm meant to feel, so I'm kinda just defaulting to sad. Smoke doesn't normally mean sad. Normally means you're angry or frustrated. I guess frustrated is one way to think about it. What part of it are you frustrated about? So, like, everything that's happened so far feels so... How can I put this? He waved his hands in the air, trying to piece together his thoughts. Although it took me pulling his hands back into the Although it took me pulling his hands to get words rather than sounds. If this was a game, there'd be a happy ending. An ending where we could all return home safe and happy. But this is just... Life can't be this cruel, can it? That no matter how else things may turn out, Roswell dies? You've played games like that before, right? But that's not the end of the story, though. There's always more, or a new game plus, or some hidden thing that gets you everything nice and happy at the end. But not all games are like that, Orlando. And sometimes, life is just... like that. Okay, I'm getting the feeling that this game is going to have like a true ultimate ending if we play through all the routes. Oh boy, that is going to be crazy. He nodded slowly and put an arm around my shoulders. The next time we're all going to be together is going to be awkward, I think. Even if it is dinner. Yeah. Dinner is going to just be interesting all around. I wonder if Thanatos is going to be joining us too. Speaking of, you know, and yet you still let me trap him like that? I wasn't meant to tell anyone. Or, that was the impression I got anyway. I just got caught up in everything that happened. No more secrets from the group, Dave. Yeah, I know. The next bit is going to be hard enough. I hope it's not too hard, though. Hey, listen, I'm sorry for being a bit all over the place now, but I appreciate you checking in on me. I gave him another hug, but he shook his head and went back to looking out the window. I might just need some time to process it. See if I can think of something, but maybe I want to try this solo for a bit. Oh, yeah, sure. Okay. Sorry. No, it's fine. I mean, I checked in on Haas and Tyson already. Now you... So, maybe I should go find Sal or Dean or just... I don't know. Check in? He nodded slowly and I backed away, lingering by the doorway to just watch him look out the window before moving in. I checked the other rooms quickly before heading back downstairs to look for anyone else. The house was quiet, but with everyone split up, it made sense. Not that I liked it, but I used it as an incentive to find someone else quicker. Sal and Dean were sitting on the steps out front, not really saying anything and just watching the world go by. Hey guys. They turned around before gesturing me closer, and I sat next to Sal where there was a space. How are you holding up? Me? I'm doing alright. just finished talking to Orlando. Oh, I'd finished talking to Orlando, Haas, and Ty about it all.
Yes.
What about you two?
It's a lot. We're mostly just letting it sink in. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
But you're both doing okay? Dean looked to Sal, who rolled his shoulders, thinking of his answer. He looked between the two of us, and then out at the lawn stretching out in front of us. I could see his snout twitch as he thought the words over, starting slow. I
appreciate how direct he was about it.
I appreciate
The difficulty that would have come from having to tell us that too.
Did he have to tell us, though?
I believe that is the correct phrasing. All things considered, anyway. Of those at the table, though, you're the only one who readily promised what he was asking, Dave.
He's my friend and asked me to promise. What else was I meant to do? It's not as if, like...
I feel like talking to the others has helped you process things, hasn't it?
A little.
It's not an easy thing to promise, though.
Why's that?
Do you remember when we were foraging for mushrooms and he asked me for something? Something that I felt wasn't my place to say.
Yeah?
I've known since then. He confided in me that long ago what was happening and maybe promised to look out for you in case Tyson did anything. Or if you were sad, that I'd at least keep an eye out. You didn't say anything to me. He said not to tell. Besides, it's his news to share anyway. That's true. But that would explain why you didn't seem all that surprised at breakfast.
I nodded slowly, thinking it over before standing up. Well, that's reassuring that you're both doing okay, compared to the others at least.
Don't get me wrong, it's still a lot to take in, but I think we're doing okay. Right. We'll just have to take it as it comes. Has anyone spoken to Roswell yet?
Don't know. He left a little bit after you two left, and that left me with Thantis and Benson.
And Oswin?
He took Roswell to go take his mind off things, given everyone else left.
Well, now I feel a little bad.
Why?
I concur. It seems more appropriate that a family friend would help here. Especially someone who has a background in medicine. As opposed to one of his normal friends.
All of his normal friends left, right? I'll go check in. I've been making the rounds, so I may as well continue, right?
If you're sure.
Speaking of the news, sorry I haven't answered your question in forever, Billy Bob Joe. How are you dealing with the news? Well, or at least how are you doing with it, you ask? I don't know, it's really still sinking in for me. I'm kind of like Dave on this. It hasn't hit me yet, but it's like, I'm just more in that surprised phase, that shocked phase of whoa. Anyway, let's get going. You're welcome to come too if you want.
I think we're heading for a big group discussion the next time we're together. At least,
to maybe reset everything. So you're saying it can wait until then? So long as someone makes sure Roswell is okay. I don't think it matters if it's one person or multiple. But I'm weighing up the possibility that everyone swamping him away may do more harm than good. I would have thought everyone coming at once might have been a bit better, like a big group hug sort of moment. Does he like being the center of attention? For someone that likes doing magic tricks, I'd say so, yeah. Then I'm with Dave. We should go find him. Alright, but if he shows signs of being uncomfortable, we should take that as our cue to leave. The three of us headed back inside, running into Orlando wandering down the stairs. Hey, Orlando. Have you seen Roswell? No. We're going to find him. Want to come along? Sure. What about Haas and Tyson? What about us? They started wandering down the stairs too, coming to a stop so we were standing in a loose circle in front of the stairs. Have either of you two seen Roswell? We were trying to watch anime but couldn't get into it. Figured we'd come downstairs to get some air, but no. No Roswell. We were going to go find him. Want to come?
Sure. Probably better we go find him rather than just
sticking around here. Question is, where is he? And what a good question that is. Thanatos, it's you! All of us turned to look to the hallway leading towards the basement, and sure enough, he was standing on the floor with a familiar face from breakfast. You're looking for the little boy? Well, I just so happen to know where he is. Where? He's safe. Thanks, Thanatos. Very helpful. But where in the mansion? Who said anything about the mansion? What? Oh my god. Did he really just get... Did he just leave? What? Oh my god. I said he's safe. That's all. So he's outside. Why would he go outside? The pool. Maybe. The greenhouse? Or the hedge maze? Question is, what do y'all want to know? We just want to make sure he's okay. Oh, I'm sure you do, Junior. But what about the others? What? Do you even mean? You all seem pretty eager to leave. What changed? People change, Thanatos. Unless... Does this always happen this way? Patterns emerge, but no. Doesn't always happen this way. I don't mean to be rude, but can you help us? As polite as ever. That's something that doesn't change. But yes, I can help. He wandered over to Dean and started to scramble up the leg of his pants, then right up to his front, settling on his shoulder. He's currently speaking with us in his lab. Great, let's go. Let's all crowdstorm the lab. Let's take the passage through the basement. To the lab! Huzzah! I led the way down to the basement and then over to the wall where the passage was. Without thinking, I opened it up, gesturing for others to step inside. When no one did, Thanatos tugged on Dean's ear until he was coerced into entering first. You're not playing your best today, Roswell.
Maybe.
Check.
You're not the only one playing sloppily.
We followed the voices through the dark, my hand occasionally touching the wall to know what was. What am I saying? We followed the voices through the dark, my hand occasionally touching the wall to know that I was still walking straight.
Checkmate.
Oswin's annoyed grumbles quickly turned into loud laughter, the kind of rumbling laughter that almost sounded foreign. Strange in that the most I've heard so far was an amused chuckle. As I pushed the door to the lab open, Oswin's laughter stopped dead, and the two people we expected to see were sitting there in a daze. Hey.
Dave?
And the whole bloody entourage. We just wanted to make sure Roswell was okay, that's all. I see.
I don't understand. I'm fine.
Orlando stepped forward, playing with his hands. I'm sorry I ran out like that. Is it really happening? That you're dying?
Yeah. It's happening.
I thought I made it clear at breakfast. What Roswell has is untreatable. There's nothing that can be done. There's really nothing? But Oswin, what about... He looked furious, jaw clenched, and I got the impression that I was on the way to saying something that I shouldn't be. You have something in mind, Dave? No, not really. Looking around the room, I saw the various beakers and tubes of things. The cabinet that held specimens that Osman had said was dangerous, and who knows what else. I just thought that maybe Osman could make something. Medicine, or... I don't know.
I don't think Oswin is some great alchemist, Dave. No offense.
None taken.
I'm okay, really. It comes and goes in waves, but I promise I'm fine. I'm sad, sure, but it's what I've known long enough that I don't know anything else. I just rather spend what time I have left with friends is all. But you're down here playing chess with some old guy.
Oz grunted and backed off, leaving to go into the adjoining room without another word. Haas stepped up, with Tyson shuffling along in his wake.
You'd rather spend time with him than us? I assume you needed time to adjust, given. Well, you did walk out like the others.
Could have stayed with Dave, though.
Good point. I guess, just like the rest of you, I need some time to myself, too.
Time to yourself? With Oswin?
You know what I mean. Well, we can go do something together now. We have to induct Tyson at some point anyway.
I'm sorry, what? Haas turned sharply and patted him lightly on the cheek.
Don't worry about it.
His fur bristled, but he didn't say anything, grumbling something incoherent under his breath instead.
I bet you don't even have a shirt prepared.
Then I'll think of something until we can get an official one.
Dave. Help. Don't think I can. Shit. Dean sat Thanatos down on the desk and watched as he wandered over to the chessboard, picking up a stray piece and wandering off from it. If you say you're okay, that's all that matters. If peace of mind is what you're after with your request, then I second Dave's promise. Make that the two of us. Or I guess three, including Dave. I can't offer much aside from that, but hopefully the worst case scenario doesn't come to pass.
Hopefully it doesn't, but who knows what the next week will bring.
Nodding slowly, I watched as Haas and Orlando swarmed Roswell again, soon after by Sal, who was assuming they were planning some group activity, no doubt. In the corner of my eye, I noticed Osman watching from the other room, standing in the dark, and it was hard to make out exactly what his expression was. But when he noticed me looking, he turned away again. Wandering over to the other room, I stuck my head in to see what Osman was doing in the dark. There were no lights in compared to the other lab, although the main room where everyone else was seemed to be just lit by the various monitors and the small light sources that littered the room. Osman? I kept my voice down, unlike me, shooting a look over my shoulder to see if anyone had noticed me off to the side and caught Thanatos standing there watching. He leaned on the chess piece that he'd snagged before and shot me that smug grin he liked to use before gesturing me to go inside. Once your friends leave, we can speak. His voice was as low as mine, but there was something else in his tone. Not sadness? Maybe worry? It was hard to place, but it was clear that he wasn't wanting to talk immediately about whatever it was he called me for yesterday. He guided me out of the room and cleared his throat, drawing everyone's attention. I'm glad you've had your reunion, but this room isn't one I typically let guests into. If you're planning on discussing things further, might you do so elsewhere? There were mumbled apologies before people started to move, Roswell seemingly leading the way forward. 2 things before you leave. First, I'm going to be borrowing Dave for a little bit. I'll send him upstairs when we're done. Second, well played, Roswell. With a small smile, Roswell continued to lead the others out and closed the door behind the With a small smile, Roswell continued to lead the others out and closed the door to the lab behind them, leaving just me and Oswin, with Thanatos still on the desk.
Thought they never leave.
That's a lie and you know it.
Well, I do like to pretend to not know every outcome, don't I?
Oswin, what did you want to talk about? Right. I wanted to talk to you about the next few days if you don't mind. In addition, your conclusions to your investigations thus far. Why? He gestured to the available chair that Roswell seemed to be sitting in, and I took it. In simple terms, I want to cross-check what I know against what you do. You know stuff? I've come to my conclusions, yes, but I admit my reasoning is flawed. Well, what did you want to know first? Do you have a prime suspect for what's been happening? A modus operandi? Anything that links these events together? Not really. What of last night? Well, I foiled it by talking to Thanatos and finding, would we call it a loophole?
Sure, loophole works.
I just had to keep Tyson out of his room for the night. That's all.
It's true. My master didn't factor in a loophole like this happening.
Which we're no closer to figuring out either. That's not entirely true. What makes you say that? Assuming Thanatos was telling the truth at breakfast, then you can at least narrow down some of the suspects. Or at the very least, start forming a picture. It almost sounds like you figured it out. I have my guesses, yes? And those guesses are... If I tell you, do you promise not to be defensive? You're about to point the finger to... You're about to... You're about to point the finger at one of my friends, aren't you? I've narrowed down the possibilities to... Well, two. Two that you might want to consider anyway.
Oh, this will be good.
The first is Haas.
Everybody is guessing Haas at this point. Everybody's like,
Haas. He's been here before, knows his way around, and quite frankly, doesn't play with an open hand in the way someone like Orlando does. We can rule out Haas. Why? Because he's your friend? I suppose we could treat his failed attempt at fixing an ECM as evidence to that. Although why Thanatos would actively choose Haas as a master leaves me to believe that it's the least likely of the two options. And the other being?
yep, you. Called it.
You.
Oh, shit. Uh-oh.
I cracked a smirk when he said it, assuming he was joking. When his expression didn't change, I frowned. Okay, that's not very funny. I didn't mean for it to come across as a joke. Just consider the facts we have to go off of. I looked at Thanatos, who was still smiling to himself, watching us both carefully. Through virtue of your father, we know you've connected to the vault, evidenced by the visions. Given Thanatos is the vault, the connection established there is, well, obvious. But I only met Thanatos the day I met you in the lab a little over a week ago. There's more evidence. Circumstantial, but it's there. Thanatos sought you out and converses. To my knowledge, mostly with you. He breaks out of his cage to go discuss matters with you. Outside one instance with Dean, but that seems more like an outlier. He looked to me over, quirking a brow. And from what I've heard, I shouldn't need to explain the line drawn between you and Dean, do I? No, I guess not. However, there's a big problem with this accusation which bugs me. What's that? If you were his master, then it would mean that his allegiance was set to you the day you arrived. In those first few days, you conspired with him to make some elaborate plan and got to work immediately. I didn't! Besides, even if I did, why would I go around stopping these things from happening? Indeed. A question I would pose to Thanatos.
Hey, what about me?
You remember every iteration of your existence, including the first time you ever met your master, correct?
What of it?
What was your first meeting like? The very first meeting.
What do you want to know?
Answer the question.
No.
Am I missing something?
Osman wants to know what changes from loop to loop when I meet my master each time. He thinks it's going to reveal some great secret that I've been hiding, but he is wrong.
Well, that sucks.
Were my sister here, she'd get you to talk. What's dear Florencia going to do about it? But that's not what you called her, is it?
Okay, shut up. Oswin picked up a beaker and realized what he was doing before he'd thrown it at Thanatos. Sheesh! He set it back down gently, breathing out slowly. Are you okay? I'm stressed, trying to figure this out. It shouldn't be this hard, but it's like playing chess against someone who has already played the same game many times over. Isn't that what chess is? Just the same game in like billions of different combinations? Can I ask you a question? Of course. Sorry, not to you, but to Thanatos.
What?
Whatever your master wanted to accomplish, the, saving just one person thing.
What about it?
They haven't succeeded once yet, have they?
I don't know.
You don't know, or you won't say.
What I mean is, my memory's incomplete. I don't know.
How can you not know?
You said something to me once, Junior. Something that most times through I brushed off, but it's something that could still be possible.
What did you say to him that has him in such a... What did you say to him that has him at this much of a loss?
The vault cannot show you your own death. You cannot pass memories if you do not survive.
Oh yeah, I think I remember asking that.
If I've never seen myself die, how do I know? Short answer is that I don't.
Which would mean that if we're in a loop of you failing by trying the same thing over and over, yes.
Not exactly. It means that I'm chalking that up to a fail and continuing on. So if I've already succeeded once, I wouldn't know.
But where does that leave you? As far as trying things. I believe I understand the problem. Are you asking in a sense of how does he know what works and what doesn't? Kinda?
Were you not listening? I don't know.
Why did you name him Thanatos anyway? I didn't. What do you mean? I thought... Wait. So you made him, right? The actual body and... Like... I gesture at the loss to Thanatos. Not really sure of myself anymore.
I'll save you the trouble. My master named me. Sorta.
What do you mean, sorta?
From the second iteration onwards, I've gone by Thanatos. It's what I introduced myself as when I woke up, rejecting the original name in favor of, well, this.
What was your original name then? He looked to Oswin, then back to me. Before he could reply, Oswin cut him off. Hypnos. Interesting. I frowned, sitting back in my chair.
I don't go by that anymore.
So Oswin named you originally. Why back at the beginning?
Florencia did, actually. I was going to name him Algernon.
Oh, no, Oswin. Florencia did, actually. I was going to name him Algernon.
Before Junior here goes and asks, Oswin was just being clever. It's the name of a really smart lab rat in a story.
I know that. I've read Flowers for Algernon. Well, kind of an abridged version of it anyway in like 5th grade. Still. Oh, thanks. Is it a nice story? It's kind of ableist. I mean, basically you have somebody who is mentally slow that gets some sort of like lab treatment or cure to make him much smarter and then gets reverted back into being mentally slow as it wears off, which scarred the hell out of me when I was at the end of elementary school. It's like, imagine telling somebody who's autistic going through stuff in therapy and like, imagine like, oh, there's something that you could do or whatever, some experiment that makes you smarter, but then just reverts you back into something. Like just sounds terrifying. It makes you think, what if all your progress just gets reverted back? And it's like scary. Anyway, the rat ends up dying. Or am I thinking of the right story? I thought that was the story. Yeah, because the rat has a similar outcome. Oh. As does his master, although much later. I don't think I like this story. It's not exactly normal reading material, although the book is in the library should you wish to go read it. Not that it will offer you much help here. Sure. Okay. Oswin rubbed his head, breathing through his nose. How many days do we have? Until Judgment Day. Who's being judged? Don't worry about that for now, Thanatos. Don't worry about that for now. Thanatos, I want a day.
6 days at this rate.
Okay, not bad, not bad. 6. You're sure?
It could vary by 1 or 2 depending on what my master does next. Now that this is last attempt. Wait. It could be varied by 1 or 2 depending on what my master does next. Now that this last attempt failed. Things could be expedited or held off. I won't know until later.
Do we know what's going to happen sooner than that? Is there anything we can do to prepare? I'll be careful in taking anything he says at face value, Dave.
Oswin, I need a favor.
What's the favor? Agreed. What could you possibly want of me?
Forbid Benson from firing his gun tomorrow. Failure to do so. Well, I'll leave it up to you to decide which way to go.
What's going to happen tomorrow?
That wasn't part of the favor. Keep Benson from firing his gun and things will be alright.
Alright for who?
Everyone, of course.
Oswin, was that all you wanted to talk to me about? I believe so. Why? 'Cause there was something Benson said I wanted to ask you about. Go on. You said that you suspected either Haas or myself to be the one behind everything. That you only suspected us, right? I did. Why? Because Benson seems convinced he knew who tried to kill him, and more than that, you also know but told him not to tell anyone who he thought it was.
Oh, now this is interesting.
What makes you believe he's telling you the truth? Because he has no reason to lie, right? If I ask you and you deny telling him such a thing, then he's clearly outed as lying. But that doesn't make any sense because he doesn't gain anything from lying if I can easily check. Sound logic so far? So then I'd just go back to Benson and he'd say you're lying, which flies in the face of what he said before about being loyal to a fault to the Hammond family. He said that? Yeah. Oswin rubbed his chin, looking to Thanatos, still as pleased with himself as when he'd started with this new topic.
I think you're more trapped than I normally am.
Well, it was me. I did it.
Hey, we called it.
Why? Why? Do I need a reason? Benson's your family. You wouldn't just try and kill him once, then give up. or even thank me for it afterwards and agree to meet face to face afterwards either. Fair point. What is it you're meant to say? Check? Oh, so we're playing a game now, are we? He shook his head, chuckling. Then allow me to make my move next. Consider everything that you've described. What motive could I possibly have to kill Benson, you say? It's not that complicated. Go on! Killing Benson is just more fair. In truth, I want you all off my mountain. If a murder were to occur, you would be forced to leave. I'm not about to add another child to my list, extending that as far as young adults. He picked out a bit of lint on his coat, regarding it before flicking it aside. Oh, there's a piece of lint on my shirt. As for you, on the other hand, boy, what better way than to cover my tracks with science and some elaborate story about the intricacies of time travel, including a talking rat? You ate it up, hook, line, and sinker. But you're lying! Oh dear God, we might have been killed. The words were barely out of my mouth before a sharp pain ran through my head and I slumped over the desk. Huh?
Yeah, I'll tell him. It's fine.
Where am I? Ty? Ty?
Oh, good. You're finally awake.
Awake? Huh?
Dude, you're spacing out again.
Ty, what's... The sound of a screeching car and the feeling of Ty pushing me to the ground took me over before the rapid sounds of gunfire rang out and hit me hard as things snapped into black again.
Into the line.
Shit, not again. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. What? No. Don't you dare, Jack. Orlando had appeared suddenly, tackling the rabbit to the ground, but was stabbed in the stomach as he reared back his head, embers crackling. No. Please. What's... I came to, breathing hard. I was in the lab again, wondering what was happening, but my eyes settled on a passed-out Oswin being prodded by Thanatos. What?
You're awake. Good.
Is defying the whole time travel and multiple universe concepts a way to get us to do this? Because that was like just saying it was all a lie and then we got proved wrong. That's crazy. Anyway. How? You did that?
Not the first time that trick has come in handy.
But I saw things. I saw things that... No passwords and... What did...
Oh, yeah. Figured out I just hit you with the frequency.
Then... What happened to Oswin?
You're not the only one programmed in, remember?
Why? Why did you do that?
Let's call it a leveling the playing field.
No. My eyes darted to Oswin, who was starting to stir. He looked as pained as I felt going through what visions I'd seen moments before. No! I gave Thanatos a look before reaching out for Oswin's hand to jolt back as Oswin quickly rose, almost falling out of his chair as he got to his feet. Reggie! His eyes were wild, gaze darting across the room in alarm before he realized where he was. When his eyes found mine, there was a look of defeat on his face, but he said nothing. Instead, picking up his chair and sitting back down and waited for me to speak first. You saw something too, didn't you? I saw my brother die in the hospital, yes. Different to how it happened, but going through it again was hard. I don't think you tried to kill Benson. You wanted to save two people. Thanatos' master only wants to save one. You were devastated when he put a hand up, shaking his head. It's alright, Dave. You win. Checkmate? Indeed. So, I made no effort to kill Benson. The very thought was terrifying when I was alert to it happening. Or rather, that it could happen. So what did you do? I did some digging, and my conclusions are... What I mean to say is that... this part never gets old. Seen us when out of woods. You're not going to tell me, are you? I still haven't got a reason why the attempt was made, or considered. Trying to solve potential murders across dimensional iterations is difficult when there is no opportunity or even evidence to go off of. No. Premeditation either as far as I can tell. He shook his head, stroking his beard. To that end, no. I'm not going to tell you. Not yet. Not when I need all of you alive. You think it'd spark a fight? I can say for certainty that it was one of your friends, Dave, not you. But when I assure you that someone that arrived with you on that bus wanted Benson dead for reasons I do not know. But I will find out. Wow. Somebody really want to kill... Wow. That's crazy. He stood up, dusting himself off. I'll be doing my best to continue to hide who I believe it is until there's some solid evidence, however. I've instructed Benson to be careful in the meantime as well. Okay, what am I meant to do now? You just said one of my friends is a murderer! And I'm sorry for that. But that is the truth. If you find it easier, assume I'm lying. I stood slowly, head down and glancing across at Thanatos. He's not lying, is he?
What does it matter? You've already decided.
Nodding, I looked back at Oswin, the corners of my mouth pulled back in a grimace. Was there anything else? I don't believe so. Should anything else come up, I'll seek you out. Okay. I'd suggest you joining the others. Should they ask what I wanted with you, I'd suggest to tell them.
Vault experimentation.
Pardon?
That's the result that yields the best outcome from what I've seen. Unless you want to run the risk of letting Junior here come up with his own lie.
No, I can go with that. It's true enough after, you know what you did? Dave, we'll get to the bottom of what's happening. I promise. Yeah, well, hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. I left the lab and headed down the corridor back out to the basement. The others had already moved on. As expected, and I followed their voices upstairs to where they seemed to be gathered.
We're not starting until Dave gets back.
Sorry, I'm here. When I'd seen that everyone had set up in front of the screen on beanbags, mounds of snacks piled around, I jogged on over and dropped into an available seat. No one seemed to question where I'd been, or what Oswin wanted in all the favor or watching Haas torment Tyson.
Now that we're ready, it's time to get this underway.
Okay, what in the fuck are we doing?
You, my dear friend, are going to be inducted into one of the most illustrious, exclusive groups known to this side of the world.
Oh, that all?
That all, he asks. Gentlemen, this guy doesn't know how lucky he is.
You're messing with me, right? He's messing with me. I think I know what this is about. You'll be fine. Okay, well, what do I have to do?
Dance.
What? Oh, are you starting a band?
No, nothing like that. Well, actually, that might not be a bad idea.
Hurry up, Haas!
Okay, fine. Everyone here knows Tyson. Everyone here has had some history with Tyson, even if it's just on this trap, good or bad.
No shit.
In light of what I knew of Tyson, in light of what I knew of Tyson, and admittedly, it was very little before this, I reached out and it turns out he's a pretty swell guy. A guy that I'm proud to say is probably my best friend.
Ouch! That hurts.
You can't be offended. You have Dave. What about me? You also have Dave.
Do I have Dave too?
No, you have Dean, right?
What if I want to be friends with Tyson too? I looked around the group and it seemed everyone had synced up on tormenting Haas now. Now everyone wearing a sly smile of their own.
The point is, I get the impression that Big Dog here hasn't been included on a bunch of stuff, so I'm going to force him to be a member of the anime club.
What?
You know, the thing from high school I told you about.
But I dropped out.
Doesn't mean you still can't join.
You literally graduated too. All 4 of you did.
You want in or not?
No.
Dave, you ask him. He won't say no to you.
It will be fun? Pass. Did you tell him about the shirt?
Yes. As a joining bonus, you get a shirt made by yours truly.
Hey, Haas, that's my job to make shirts. I'm the shirt maker here. If you don't know, I made some shirts for, well, not like officially for like the Glory Hounds project, but like I made some fan art shirts for some Glory Hounds creators. Yeah. Anyway. I have shirts already.
I can make yours orange if you want.
I watched as Ty's gaze narrow just a little, ears twitching as he thought it over. Just think, Ty. Orange! Yeah, I heard him.
Not that I have one that I could throw together, but I can owe you an orange one for when we get back home.
Let's say I want the shirt. And I'm not saying that I do. Just if I did. What do I have to do?
Dance.
I don't dance.
I know you can.
Not a chance.
Oh, then this is going to be even better.
Can it be any dance?
If dancing is all it takes, maybe I should dance. We had to learn a small formal thing for high school. Could probably fake line dancing if I had to.
Sorry, Dean. You don't like anime, remember?
There'll always be the league bowling shirts instead, Dean. Don't worry.
If Haas is a shirt maker, I might have to low-key join his route just to find out more on how to make shirts. Because I've wanted to get into screen printing, but I stopped. Like, I was going to, but then I went into, like, laser toner printing instead, which the quality of it isn't as, like, what is it as? You know, like, smooth, I'd say, as, like, a screen printed shirt, but it's still, like, kind of nice, I'd say. Like, you could still do pretty good variety of things, but it's, like, less messy, easier. I don't know. I really want to get into it, but I don't have the space to. At least the outdoor space or my personal space. Yeah. Anyway. Or I don't have enough materials at the moment. Anyway, let's get going.
There'll always be league bowling shirts instead, Dean. Don't worry.
Aw, his route isn't about making shirts. That makes me sad.
League what now?
Tyson, focus. The dancing.
Ty rolled his shoulders and sighed, looking at everyone but Haas before settling on me.
Did you have to do it?
Oh yeah, it was awful.
He means awful fun, don't you, Dave?
Sure.
So you're asking me to make a fool of myself for a shirt?
An orange shirt.
Mind if I pick?
You have something in mind?
No chance I could just do an easy one, huh?
Oh no, we're making this as bad as we can.
The floor is yours then.
Hey Dave, pass the chips.
What preceded was Tyson groaning as Orlando picked something of a classic. Right down to the sailor uniforms and the upbeat music. His jaw went slack and eyes went wide as he watched the dance he was expected to perform, occasionally shooting sideward glances to Haas, who was bopping along with the music and doing some of the moves. Oh, this is great. Sal and Dean went chuckling to themselves. Orlando and Roswell were seeing if they remember the dance too, and I sat back trying to make sure to remember this, if only to bring up to Tyson later as any little brother would. When the first viewing was over, Haas nudged Ty and said that he wanted to see one genuine attempt before they stopped. Otherwise, they were just going to keep going until they got it. You got this? It was cringy, poorly choreographed, and ended up with Roswell and Orlando bumping into each other more than once, threatening to trip Tyson up without even trying. But it was fun. Even if they had to go a few times before Tyson seemed to know what was even going on. Even Sal got up and gave it a shot.
Okay, that's enough. That's good enough? I earned the shirt yet?
He was out of breath, and Orlando and Roswell already having tagged out and recovering on their beanbags just as much so.
What's up?
The shirt. Am I in or what?
Oh yeah, you can join. You're in about 5 attempts back, but I figured I'd see how long it took you to throw in the towel.
Tyson's eyes bulged, and he seemed to be torn between catching his breath and making a grab at Haas before just giving up.
I'm going to sit down now.
He collapsed unceremoniously into a beanbag and groaned while Haas almost seemed unfazed.
Now the pre-entertainment entertainment has been given. How about we have another small movie viewing?
Now hold on. That's not what we were leading into anyway. Yes, Dean. Although I believe for the most part we needed something to bring us all together after this morning.
Sal? Buddy. Pal.
Oh, sorry.
May I ask what we're watching? It's going to be an anime. Oh, that's... May I take a request?
What do you have in mind?
I would like to watch the one about the fantasy world in the closet, please. Oh, it's been a while since I saw that one. I'd be interested.
But... anime...
As entertaining as it is to see Tyson dance, I had my fill of anime for one day. Tyson grumbled but flipped Dean off half-heartedly while still face down in his beanbag. How about we start with that one, and then consider anime afterwards? What about the one with the mouse that's like Tyson? You think the mouse is like Tyson? I would have thought that guy that becomes a dragon is more like Tyson. Sal elbowed Dean in the side, cocking his head slightly. Dude, those are spoilers, Dean. Oh, right. Sorry.
Alright, fine. We'll start there and consider what to watch next, after it's done. Sound good with everyone?
There were mixed grumbles from all around, mostly enthusiastic, although tainted by exhaustion from those that had been dancing. But we relaxed with a movie, sharing the snacks around until they were all gone, and went straight into another while avoiding anime. Haas sulked for all of a minute before he and Tyson started to have a quiet chat while the movie went on. Not that they were loud, but it was nice just watching their expressions. Haas and Tyson with relaxed smiles, Dean and Sal enamored with the movie and keeping quiet, Orlando and Roswell passing the same empty bag of candy back and forth, forgetting that it was empty until they reached into the bag. These were my friends, and they were happy. Hey, sleepyhead, wake up. Huh? We're heading down for dinner. You must have fallen asleep at some point. I guess I was just that relaxed, huh? You looked like you were sleeping peacefully. Always considered not waking you, but we couldn't just leave you here by yourself. No, of course. So everyone else is downstairs now? Yep. Just went down, so no one's been waiting for you. Orlando offered a hand, and I took it, stumbling as he helped me up. Snack food isn't much of a lunch, so I bet you're hungry. We went downstairs with Orlando heading into the kitchen. It was almost as if a routine at this point. The fact that we'd said we'd take turns basically forgotten. I honed into a particular spot at the table, taking my seat a little giddier than I otherwise would have been. With the help of a couple others, Orlando brought the food out to the table in no time, and we were soon enough eating and engaging in jovial conversation. Soon, our bellies were full, and for a moment, I'd forgotten all the stress of the past few days. Even from that very morning, leaning back in my chair, I breathed and just let it wash over me. My eyes wandered over to Dean, who was calmly rising from his spot with a smile on his face. I have expected him to do the thing where you hit a spoon on your glass to get everyone's attention. Hey everyone, I feel now's a good time as any to come out and say this, but last night, something wonderful happened. I started chuckling under my breath, made worse when he gave me a wink before continuing. Some of you are already aware, but I figured it'd be better to have everyone in the loop already. I looked around the table and immediately found everyone staring at me in a mix between bored, expectant, and knowing. Dave and I had dinner last night, and now we're going steady. I flashed my friends a toothy smile, unsure of what their reaction was going to be given the mix of expressions I was getting. They turned to one another, almost having a silent conversation with one another, before all at once looked to Dean. Finally. Dean looked like he'd been slapped across the face, blinking a few times before looking at everyone at the table. Well, I'd like to also take the chance to congratulate the happy new couple and also claim my fair share of credit for putting them on a brilliant night, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, well, just remember to take care of him, or we're going to have problems.
Let him have this. It's a miracle that they got to this point as it is. Wow, that's kinda mean. Oh, I meant more than everything considered. The odds were looking like you two would never make it official.
Well, that's disheartening.
We would have gone there eventually, right? I'm surprised literally no one else tried to make a move on you in no one else tried to make a move on you in the time it took for you two to walk it out. I looked around the table and everyone's attention seemed to be elsewhere, presumably not wanting to be involved in the conversation now that Orlando had taken it over.
So, what happens now? You do all that gay shit in front of us now and we just have to put up with it? We don't have to if it's going to make people feel uncomfortable. But I am going to exercise my right to dote on my boyfriend when I feel like it.
Like kisses and whatever?
Yeah.
So long as it's limited to that, I don't think we're going to have any problems. Or no, Orlando. So long as it's limited to that, I don't think we're going to have any problems.
If I walk in on you two fucking in some random room, then there's going to be issues. I promise we'll behave. Can't say the same for Dave, though.
Hey, I can behave.
Good to know. 'Cause I'm not sure you can.
I'm with Tyson. I don't want to walk in on it either. Sal stood next, scratching his chin.
This might make guys' night a bit problematic.
Why? You're all guys, so that should be fine. I think you're missing the point, Roswell. I'm more interested when guys' night was a thing.
It's what Dean and I do every week as a bonding activity.
Oh, yeah. What's involved?
We go bowling.
Oh, how fun.
I have a potential solution, but we'll see.
What's the solution?
I start inviting Tyson.
Why Tyson?
I looked across to Ty and he seemed just as confused, shrugging when he saw me looking at him.
You already have anime club. If Dean is spending time with his boyfriend, I feel Tyson would now like the company.
Why not my chopped liver? Presumably you'd be hanging out with Orlando, right? Well, yeah, I guess.
I looked over to Orlando. He seemed to be struggling at keeping up with the conversation, but knew that he should be offended. Meanwhile, Dean was watching me with a warm smile on his face, gesturing towards the door with a motion on his hand. Or with the motion of his head, Jesus.
We can figure all this out later. For the time being, I think it's a good thing overall. Something nice to break up what's been happening as of late.
It's not a wedding, but meh, I'll take it. Sure. Could always do with some nice things.
Just don't let it go to your head, Dean. We still need to get off this mountain.
I could tell that he wasn't paying attention completely. All Sal's comment got was a roll of the eyes with a smile never leaving his face. Instead, he got up and gestured for me to follow, making his way to the door.
I'm going to go turn for the night. I'm going to go turn in for the night. Thanks again for dinner, guys. There he goes.
Just watch. Dave will be joining him soon.
Is that alright? May I be excused?
I don't think anyone's going to stop you.
Is that what they mean by honeymoon period?
Seems like it.
Go on, Dave. I'll clear your plate this time.
Thanks, Sal. I could hear Tyson scolding Sal for spoiling me, but I continued on, looking around for Dean.
Was beginning to think you weren't going to follow.
I'm not used to just leaving the table like that. And, like, leaving with someone else means stuff too.
Like what?
Well, you know, bed stuff.
Got a taste and all. Got a taste and that's all you can think about. What about the other stuff?
Like, what?
Like just sitting and talking, cuddling up and passing the time. Doesn't always need to be sexual.
I know, I'm just looking forward to next time already. Sorta.
Reckon you can handle it again? Thought things might still be harder. Thought things still might be tender.
Well, instinctively my tail curled itself close to me, remembering the night before. The feelings, the adrenaline rush, and then the new kind of soreness that followed.
I'm going to go upstairs now and take a shower. Then I'm going to lay on my bed in my underwear until it's time for sleep. Would you like to join your bear friend for some quality cuddling?
Bear friend? Don't you mean boyfriend?
Do I? Does that mean the answer is a no?
No. I mean, yes, just upstairs time. I took Dean by the hand as I rushed past, trying my best to drag him up the stairs with me, but for the most part, he let himself be led along. It was right to Dean's room, where once we were inside, I find myself being picked up, thrown over his shoulder, and him gently closing the door behind us with his foot. Hey! He laughed, wandering over to the bed and half placing me down on it, so I bounced.
I'm going to go take a shower. Make yourself comfortable. That shouldn't be too long.
Did you want company?
Did you want to join me?
Want? Kinda little. Should. Probably not.
Let's make it a plan for tomorrow night then. Assuming you're all healed up.
Oh. Okay.
I won't be long. You're welcome to have one after I'm done too. Be right back.
With another wave, he disappeared into the bathroom while I waited in the small impression I'd made upon my landing on his bed. Looking around the room, I could still see that he'd not bothered to put away any of his identical plaid shirts that seemed to dot the place, marking him almost as messy as Ty was. Not that I wasn't used to it. It wasn't why, without even thinking about it, I started bundling things up and giving each place a quick sniff to decide if it was dirty or clean, and condensing what was mainly piles into just two.
What are you doing?
Just organizing. He looked between me and the underwear in my hands, raising an eyebrow. I promise, it was just a little messy is all.
Well, thanks for cleaning it up. You didn't have to, you know.
Sure, but I had to do something while I waited. Or I guess I assumed I should make myself useful.
Don't go thinking you need to be useful. At least now. You're doing great as you are.
By doing nothing?
Remember, we're on vacation, aren't we?
That's true, yeah.
Now, why don't you go have a shower and join me in bed when you're done? I'm going to read a book while I wait to get tired.
My shower was just about as quick as Dean's, and by the time I got out, Dean was sitting there reading his book. There was no talking, really. He just wrapped an arm around me while I cuddled into his chest and found myself getting drowsy sooner than I thought I would. And then I was asleep, cradled in the warmth of my boyfriend. Oh, I think this might be it. To be continued. Whee! That is the end of Dean's update. Now we're going to try Tyson's, which is basically us just skimming through day 20 and then stopping at the unique parts. Anyway. Let's go put the timestamp in. Alright, that was the end of the reading for Dean. I'm just going to take a minute to set things up. Sorry, I just had to type in. I'm like, how am I going to explain this? The Tyson unique parts begin. That's how I'm going to express it. Okay. Let us get started then with Tyson's updates. Or, well, just the unique bits. Let us go to page 6. And we continue down to Dean. Jesus, Tyson. Alright, so there's gonna be a lot of skimmity-dimmity. I don't know what I'm saying, but once the skip stops, we'll read. Nothing much. So the scene of us sleeping, and then once we wake up, we begin with Tyson's unique bits. I was still on my side, with Tyson right up behind me, holding me tight. My mind flashed back to the night before, reminded by the fact we were naked and what we'd done. Not that I hated it, quite the opposite. Not laying here with him sleeping, I had my worries. Maybe we crossed that line too quickly. Maybe things won't work out and we just ruined what we had. Placing my hand softly on his, I leaned back against him and listened as he breathed. It was level, relaxed, and I closed my eyes to try and get some more sleep. Hey, you awake? Yeah. Was probably going to get up soon though. He growled playfully next to my ear, the arm around my chest tightening a little. Not gonna let me at you again? Maybe later, Ty. I'm not feeling it. He was shocked with the answer and pulled back. I took that opportunity to sit up and then put on some pants. I needed to clear my head and left the room soon after. I was barely dressed, but I needed to get away from him just for a second. I loved him in the best of ways, but part of me was scared of that fact. Not that I had anything to compare against, but the sex was great too. Yeah. Hey! What? Dave, what's wrong? He stopped me on the stairs, a hand on my shoulder. What's gone into you? His scent was still all over me, seeping into my fur from the night before. It was a strange mix between comforting and worrying, and I turned back to him, my eyes sunken and not knowing where to look. Last night wasn't a mistake, was it? What? Like, did we cross that line too quickly? Should we have talked more about what happened and... I don't know.
What's there to talk about?
Ty, you know I love you, right?
Yeah?
And you're sure you love me, right?
Yeah? What, you're doubting that now?
No, it's not that. I'm worried, right? Worried that I'm getting my wires crossed is all. Worried that I'm enjoying something for the wrong reasons, and that something's going to dawn on me one day, and I'm just... Gesturing loosely in the air, I sat down on the stairs. Moments later, Tyson was next to me with his hands loosely on his lap.
What's wrong about it?
When I tried to save you for the first time, you punched me in the nose, and when I begged you to not go, you wanted me to have sex with you. I saw him looking around quickly in a panic, but he didn't say anything, so I continued. When it was happening, I was so focused on doing anything to keep you alive and safe, so focused at that time that I didn't really register what was happening. But now that we've done it, what if I just let you call the shots like that?
I don't understand. I thought that... Didn't we?
It was a really bad thing. So, I'm just worried that now we're together that things like that might just happen again. Not even on purpose, but I'm worried that I'm putting too much trust in you. Maybe just a little?
Well, that hurts.
I'm sorry, but I can't just ignore something like that, Ty.
So, that's it. You want out?
No, Ty, I don't want out. I just want some reassurance that I'm not going to be raped for trying to do right by you. That you're going to hit me because you're in a bad mood. Or anything else terrible. You can't just do that anymore.
I wouldn't.
But it doesn't change the fact that you did. And that scares me. He shuffled around, snatching my hands and holding them in his.
I get that I'm new to this, but all that shit was because I was too much of a wimp to admit I loved you that much. It's not an excuse, I know, but I just...
Ty, if you loved me that much, why would you want to push me away? Or even resort to something so horrible?
I don't know. I'm messed up in the head, I guess.
Oh.
Is there anything I can do? You know, to prove it won't happen again?
Ty, I don't know. Everything's just going so fast in my head right now. He reached out and cupped my cheek lightly, rubbing his thumb against it carefully.
Help me understand. Please.
You love me, right?
Of course I do.
And it's not just because because we had sex?
Look, that part's fucking amazing, but especially after not getting to do it after so long, yeah. But that's not the reason I love you, alright?
Then why?
Shit. Where do I start? I'm not good with this gay stuff.
Try. For me. I like how you look out for me. I want to do some of the same for you. I don't know when it happened, but at some point, I couldn't stop thinking about ways to make you smile, so I could see it again. His ears dropped slightly, and he shook his head. It sounds gay as hell, but that's just what I feel. I don't want to do bad things. I'm sure as I'll fuck up at some point, but now that I have you, I'm scared to give you a reason to leave. Just promise me, Ty, if anything that bad comes up again, before you do anything else, we talk about it. Even if it's going to upset me, even if it's going to upset you, we have to talk to one another. Okay. Ty, promise. I promise. Okay. Want to head back to bed? Yeah, sure. We headed back to bed and cuddled. I nestled in under his chin and he had his arms around me, just rubbing my back. I didn't know at what point I dozed off again, but I felt somewhat relieved, though the dreams I had still bothered me. When I awoke again, I felt rested, and Tyson was once again cuddling me from behind, and I once more placed my hand on his. Hey. Morning. How are you feeling? Fine, I guess. Okay. Cool. His tone said it all, and I wove my fingers between his, leaning back. Boyfriend? His tail started wagging, and the steady thump of it under the blankets clued me into his mood immediately. So I wasn't dreaming. Where, you know, it's real. Yep, it's real. He leaned over and kissed me on the cheek before sitting up in bed, with me following suit. It's kind of strange, huh? It's weird, yeah. But I like it. Is there anything you wanted to do today? Well, if you're offering... You're as bad as Dean now that you've been enabled. Am not. If you're good, then maybe tonight. We'll see. Fine. Then, don't know. I'm fine with whatever. You wanted to talk to everyone else, though, right? Yeah. I feel like the next few days might be rough, but end of the day, I've got you, right? Fuck yeah, you do. After we lay in bed for a bit longer, we got dressed and headed up the opposite way. After we lay in bed for a bit longer, we got dressed and headed downstairs. Not much before a much needed shower, given how we fell asleep the night before, though. We made it to where we had been earlier, before Ty took my hand in his and laced his fingers between mine. He didn't look at me as he did it, keeping his gaze forward as we headed into the dining room. It didn't take long for everyone to arrive. Each of us taking a seat at the table, with Orlando heading to the kitchen once everyone was accounted for. We are going to skip through until we get to a unique part again, starting now. Well, that was quick. Oh, this is the part where we confess who we love. Although he made no effort to hide what had happened, leaning over and rubbing my shoulder with his mouthful of coffee. Austin wandered in with Benson at some point, not saying anything as to continuing into the kitchen, looking just as tired as I felt. Okay, I think things are still gonna wait to see if the confession comes yet. Blah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh, the confession happens. I thought we were gonna mention our love to Dean first. Okay, so we don't mention that we are in love yet at the table. That is unique to Dean's route. Ty reached out for me, and I think we're doing the anime club now. Oh no, not yet. We are talking about Roswell still, so Ty reached out for me, and I shuffled so I was closer. If anybody wants to know the exact line, yeah, I guess so. The line before that is, don't think there is one, is there? If shit hits the fan, then we just deal with it. Or just so, I guess we know what we're doing already. So those two lines before it. Anyway, Ty reached out for me, and I shuffled so I was closer. So he put an arm around me and then pressed his nose into my head with his other hand still on Haas's shoulder.
So I get what's going on between you two. So when are you going to tell everyone else?
You knew already?
Yeah, I had a good idea from just that alone.
From what?
You nuzzling Dave like that. Plus, you're way more relaxed with him here with us than I've assumed otherwise.
So sue me.
Come on, tell me about your boyfriend.
Ty grumbled and his grip on me tightened, but I could tell that he was starting to blush based on how his color was shifting ever so slightly in his ears.
You know everything about him already. Mostly, anyway.
You've told him about me?
Yeah, why not?
So Tyson finally asked you out.
Sorta.
Oh, no, wait. I said it. I can't read. Sort of?
You're not going to make this weird, are you, Top Cat?
Not unless you tell your boyfriend you love him.
Dude.
You don't have to, Ty. It's fine.
Of course I love him.
If I'd asked you this a few days ago, you would have taken half an hour to admit that.
Yeah, well, things change.
Next, you're going to go kissing him in front of me as if you have absolutely zero issues with that.
Again, Ty's grip on me tightened as he seemed to think it over.
That's not up to me.
I think it is. If a little bit, right?
I'm not going to force it, but I'm very much digging this reaction you're having.
So you're feeling better at least now, Haas?
It's going to take some getting used to. It's soured the trip a little more knowing that what's around the corner for a friend is all.
And now we are back into the news of Roswell, and this is the line for anybody who wants to know.
It's going to take some getting used to. It soured the trip a little more knowing what's around the corner for a friend is all.
And then we skip to the next part. The next unique bit is Orlando tells the news, and then when we go out to Dean and Sal, things are different because we are no longer his boyfriend in this route. Or well, not really to begin with. So the line before it,
It's not an easy thing to promise, though.
why is that? Wait, is this line unique? Oh, there's the unique line.
It's someone's life just ending, right? I get the impression that something like this was on its way, but didn't know for sure.
How did he say something?
Kinda. He asked me a few times about our relationship. Figured that he was just doing what the others were doing as far as pushing us together. With him seemed a bit more serious, almost like he was worried about something. Lines up that this would be what he was worried about.
right?
I nodded slowly, thinking it over before standing up. We are back to the unique lines. Well, that's reassuring that you're both doing okay, compared to the others at least. And now we continue to the next unique part. We go into the lab, console Roswell, and we have our traumatic vision. And now the anime club happens, nothing unique there. But now at dinner, I think we confessed it here at dinner, I forgot. So, soon our bellies were full, and for a moment, I'd forgotten all the stress of the past few days. Even from that very morning, leaning back in my chair, I breathed in and just let it wash over me. Tyson rose out of his chair slowly. I assumed he was going to head off to bed, but instead he looked nervous as anything, clearing his throat.
I want to say something.
He had the attention of the table. That's it. That is the line. Jeez. I was thinking of the table itself. He gained the table's attention. The sentient table. Anyway, he had the attention of the table, shooting me a glance before choosing to look anywhere but.
So, something happened last night between me and Dave.
I realized what he was doing and looked across the table to Dean, who had a pleasant smile on his face.
Fuck, this can't be this difficult.
Just say it, Ty. It's fine.
So, for a long time, I've had these feelings I wasn't able to really express, but Dave's my boyfriend, I guess.
You guess?
He's my boyfriend.
I expected there to be something like a round of applause or some sort of cheering. But instead, what I noticed was something completely different.
I have a concern. Huh? What about? It was wrong of me to stay quiet for this long, as I assumed that this was just a family thing. And if something had happened, then we might have had some sign.
I got to my feet slowly, confused. What's wrong, Sal?
I have a concern that this relationship might be... Well, what I mean to say is...
He rubbed his head, now having all the attention of the table, and the doubts started to creep in.
I kept this from Dean when he explained what happened after last night. I kept it from everyone else to not want to stir the pot, but do you remember what you tried to take from Dave about 2 weeks ago? No? You were outside, about to head into the woods, and Dave begged you not to go?
No! No! I could feel the color drain from under my fur when I realized what he was talking about. Looking to Tyson seemed as though he remembered as well.
But instead you punched him in the face, and even while on the ground he didn't even let you go. But he said he'd do anything to stop you from going out there.
He's not sad.
Presumably to keep you from running into those people in the woods. And you made him put up his virginity as collateral.
The room was silent. Expressions around the table were a mix between mortified and outraged, with Tyson looking petrified.
So naturally, I have some concerns that this, relationship. Yeah, sorry. Relationship. I have concerns that how this came about isn't sustainable.
Hold on! Tyson almost flinched as Orlando slammed the table. looking at the smoke rising from his nostrils. You did what? Orlando, please calm down. No, I want to hear it from his mouth what he did. Dave, did he really ask that of you? But nothing happened. I promise. I did, yeah. If he wanted me to come back inside, I wanted to, He was midway through the sentence as Orlando started marching towards him and in one motion, slammed his fist into Tyson's nose, topping him over. You literal piece of shit! You mean figurative. Shut up, Sal! He looked down at Tyson, still reeling from the blow, and I was frozen in place. A combination of fear and uncertainty making me want to make sure he was okay. A hand on my chest further kept me in place as Orlando talked down at Tyson, but I could feel the heat of his breath even this close. I cannot believe I was once scared of you. Orlando, that's enough. Leave him alone. And to think even after all that Dave loves you enough to be your boyfriend? That has to be some sick joke. I hadn't seen Sal move, but he was next to Orlando quick, grabbing him by a horn and forcibly yanking him away, making him trip by quickly kicking his ankle. That's enough. Sal, let me at him! It's their relationship. Let them figure it out. Make sure he's okay, Dave. Tyson was dazed, but okay, clinging to me, and he was only barely bleeding from his nose. I helped him up and put him back in his chair, but he didn't seem to have anything to say after that. Orlando, apologize. You can't make me. Stop being a child. From what it's worth, I am sorry for bringing it up here, but it's a legitimate concern, Dave. I made that call because Tyson means more to me than anyone else in the world. I'm sorry, but it's true. At the same time, it was as a brother mixed with some strange other feeling I couldn't place. But I couldn't let him die. I understand. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but what I can say is that nothing happened. We just talked. You understand why there is some concern about what happened and where you are now, though, yes? Yeah, I get it. I'm honestly happy for you, but I don't want a friend being taken advantage of. I know I'm not the best at relationships, but I do know I love Tyson. I've raised this with him, but no buts. I fucked up. I should gut you for what you even thought about doing. Then you'd also probably want to do the same to Dean, unless holding a double standard is fine. How? If you're going to judge people for being sexually interested in Dave, Tyson is hardly the only one. Dean is a gentleman. Oh, was. Oh. Wasn't Tyson after Dave's dad died? Well. Again, I apologize for raising this in here. Just such a public space, but it's a legitimate concern. Again, I don't want one of my friends being taken advantage of or abused. Okay. I wouldn't. Maybe so. But that wasn't so clear at the time, was it? Ty was terrified, and I could tell just from how he was shaking. Maybe it was the threat of being hit again, or maybe it was something else closer related to me. I'm going to speak for everyone at the table and say that if you ever, and I mean ever, he put a hand firmly on Tyson's shoulder, gripping tight. If you ever try to pull something like that again, I'm not holding Orlando back next time, or anyone else that might want to pay you back for hurting their friend. I placed a hand over Sal's and he backed off, my hand replacing his on Tyson's shoulder. Orlando stomped off into the kitchen. Maybe to cool off. Sal followed close behind. If Ty could put his tail between his legs as he sat there, he likely would. Unsure of how the others were feeling, I glanced at those that were still at the table.
You fucked up bad, big dog.
Not sure I like hearing what I did. Any of it, really. But I think Sal made the point well enough for us. I know. It looks bad. Sounds bad.
But it makes sense, though, right? Roswell, I swear to God, if you're about to kick the poor guy when he's down, we're going to have a problem. Not that. It's just latent homosexuality manifesting in something like that in a fever pitch. Especially with how close they've been for years. It makes sense. Your point being? I'm not making one. Just saying that I understand how we got here, and I think that ultimately, it doesn't involve us. If Dave said nothing happened, then nothing happened.
Still a bit worrying that it'd come to that, right? I mean, I'm not going to say I was exactly wanting it, but if it saved Tyson's life, I would have gone through with it. I felt him flinch in his chair as I said that, but stayed quiet.
I don't envy you needing to make that ethical decision. Being raped or watching a loved one die is quite a decision to be faced with suddenly.
Again, Ty flinched and I almost found myself doing the same from how bluntly Roswell had put it.
Yeah, it's, not great.
Well, I should go check on Sal and Orlando. Or someone should anyway.
Roswell and I will go along with you. But I don't want to go. I have other things I want to do, and that's already 3 doing damage control. Yeah, well, what could be more important than making sure your friend is not about to burn the house down?
Roswell stiffened, eyes going wide briefly.
Right, of course. Let's go.
He got up quickly and rushed over to the kitchen without another word. Haas, meanwhile, seeming confused as his sudden change of attitude, but shrugged it off.
You two have a good night.
Dean and Haas followed Roswell soon after, and I heard Orlando groan loudly from the other room the moment they walked through the door. Quietly, I took Ty by the hand and he let me help him up. Wordlessly, he wandered away from the dining room and headed upstairs. I wasn't sure whose room to go to at first, but I settled on being the first one to come across. I closed the door behind us and rubbed my thumb over the back of Tyson's hand. Should we talk about what happened? He shrugged, slipping his hand from my grip. I just wanted to let people know that we were boyfriends? Yeah. Sal having been there when Well,
Can we not bring this up?
is there anything I could say or do to help?
Dude, I don't know.
I love you?
I love you too.
Did that help? He shrugged, scratching his neck.
You know it's kind of fucked.
No.
That I consider just letting you take it out on me. Do what I was going to do to you, but to me or whatever.
I don't think that helped all that much. Plus, I don't think I'd feel right doing that. I could see how flat Tyson had his tail against his rear, not liking the idea all that much either.
Do you think I just said something sooner, things would have been less fucked?
I think if you said something sooner, we'd both be more fucked. I chuckled, nudging him playfully to try and get a reaction. 'Cause, you know.
I know.
Because we'd be having sex already.
Dave, I get it.
Oh. Good.
But you're right. If I just said something sooner, then we'd probably have had a bit of fun, sure.
And is that so bad?
No point in really thinking about it. Was too chicken shit to say anything before.
If you could go back and change that, would you?
What do you mean?
Things worked out, right? So if we could start all of this sooner?
Good luck getting that out of me.
What if I told you that I loved you?
Yeah, like that would have worked well last time. Probably would just push you away.
Oh.
Look, I don't know what we're meant to do.
You're not going to say we should call it off now, are you?
Fuck no, you're mine.
Okay, that should also probably change.
Huh?
You're mine too, but you shouldn't say so in, such a possessively?
I don't get it.
What I mean is, like, I don't want you thinking I belong to you. His confusion didn't seem to leave his face, and I took him by the hand towards the bed. Like, what would you say if I just said to people that you belong to me?
I don't see a problem with it.
Really?
We're in this together, right? You're my boyfriend. I'm your boyfriend. That's all I'm saying.
I guess so long as that's all you mean by it, it's fine.
You think I was going to collar you or something?
If either of us was going to be wearing a collar, it'd be you. He sat down and I followed suit next to him. The whole day earlier, we were just like this, having a serious conversation, and then he kissed me. A moment that changed what we were to each other. I don't regret what happened. I don't regret where we are now. I don't regret loving you either.
I just wish I'd told you sooner.
All that matters is that we got there. It was bumpy, but we got there.
Orlando was pissed.
He was.
Probably going to be awkward around the group for the next bit, huh?
Only if you make it awkward. We're a team now. Beyond just the scavenger hunt, I mean.
I really don't deserve you.
I nudged him to the side as he put an arm around my shoulder. Just keep a low profile and I'm sure things will be fine. Although, if you do anything, then I'm obligated to at least tell Dean after yesterday. Or at least Dean.
Right.
So, hopefully that helped.
A little.
I put a hand on his leg, figuring I could be daring enough to slide it towards his crotch, but he stopped me, carefully. Sorry. I'm not really feeling it. Oh, that's fine. I just thought it'd make you feel better. Any other time, yeah, probably would. But knowing that what went down happened because of exactly this, it's like guilt, I guess. That makes sense. Yeah, okay. He got up and wandered over to the bathroom quietly, closing the door behind him and without another word. Soon, I heard the water running, and it was clear that he was just taking a shower so much in the same way I did when I needed to unwind and process things. For a moment, I considered joining him, but I felt maybe being naked around each other right now wasn't going to help. Shower's yours. Feeling any better after your shower? All I got was a shrug before he settled into bed, flat on his back. Ty? He turned slowly to me, looking, grimacing. I love you. I crawled over and draped myself over him, nestling into that spot under his chin. In turn, he placed an arm around me and started playing with my fur. You ever think about getting married? Huh? Just wondering. I don't know. Maybe a couple of times? Something for like much later. Alright, sure. Is that what's bothering you right now? Getting married? Just thinking about the collar thing. And I guess the belonging to each other thing too. Basically just get what getting married is, right? I suppose so. So like, what if I did wear a collar? For you? I think that's not needed. We're not married either, so like, I don't think I understand. Right. Yeah. Did you want to wear a collar for me? Look, it was just an idea, alright? He pried me off him and sat up, looking over to a pile of his clothes on the floor. I made you something. Left it in one of my pockets. What is it? He shrugged and I wandered over to the pile of clothes he was still staring at, starting to rummage through them. Sure enough, a pair of his shorts had a pocket bulging and I reached in to pull what was in it out. What's this? You're the one that makes shit. Figured I'd give it a go. What was in my hand looked like a string with things woven through it, tied along with its length. It's very nice. Yeah, well, it's a piece of shit is what it is, but I made it for you, so... I brought it back over to the bed and sat down next to Ty, looking at it. Is it, was meant to be a fucking friendship bracelet. Picked up some shit from around the house to make it too. Well, did you want some help making it less disappointing? Nah, it's fine. I'll just give it another go some other time. Just look forward to something. Yeah? So long as it's not a collar, we should be fine. Fine. No collars until we're back home. Shaking my head, I wandered over to the light switch and undressed to join Ty in bed. Let's get some sleep. I think we could both use a good cuddle. The moment I was under the covers, he held me close, chest to chest. He nestled in under my chin this time, sighing as he drifted off in my arms. I spent the next little bit listening to the shifting of the house, waiting for the sleep time to find me as I thought about what had happened. Was what Tyson done at dinner brave or just dumb? given we had no way of knowing Sal had overheard things, it was probably neither, and him just wanting to show me off. The thought made me smile. That he was proud to have me with him in this way. And cuddling up close to him, I fell asleep to thoughts of my boyfriend. To be continued. Looks like we've hit the end of Tyson's day 20 now. Alright, so that is it for that update. I'm just going to type in the timestamp and that will be it. Alright, time to stretch. That was really long. Didn't expect the unique parts to be that long, but yeah. Figuring if I should do another stream later after this. Typically the smoke room normally has shorter events, and I only have to do one route instead of 2 like I did just for this, so I'm trying to catch up on that ASAP so I can start getting going with tennis ace and then being completely up to date. Because I've been hella behind on things. But yeah, this was fun. Well, yeah, it's fun to play, but I mean, sad news. Really saddened by some of the things that happened here, but yeah, the fun parts were fun. Anyway, I'm going to head out and probably take a little break in between starting now and the smoke room stream, or at least I'll announce it, whether or not I do it in like half an hour or so after I get some of this stuff finalized and set up for this stream, like, you know, the thumbnail and all that. Anyway, so yeah, thanks everybody for joining today. And until next time, take care, folks.